have started to make a name for themselves. Rework Esport Core continue to dominate here in EUL as they and Vaporeon haters remain undefeated so far. Who will manage to beat them though? Well, there's only one way to find out. As always, I'm Spartan Tano, and let the games begin.
Well, I'm pretty sure I'm not Jonathan Hyde, but I can tell you for certain that you're in the right place. Welcome back to the EUL, and welcome to round 4 of matches. We've got a couple of teams still with a spotless, squeaky clean record. But how long will that last as we get into the meat and bones of the competition? I'm Relic, and I'm joined by Mad Magical. How are you doing, good sir?
I am doing it fantastic, as always. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to get back into some Unite casts and see how these teams are really matching up now that they've gotten some more games under their belts.
Absolutely. Hi, Twitch chat. How are you doing? Let us know. If you haven't followed already, please do here at either TTTV, Ghatlue, or Unity Clash. I promise nothing is on fire outside of EUL. Nothing is going wrong whatsoever. And actually, speaking of numbers and statistic and points, let's actually dive into the table so we've got a better idea as to the lay of the land, Magical, because we last casted round 2, and since then we have had some progressions, in particular looking at Rework Esport Core and Vaporeon haters cementing their place at the top of the table.
Exactly, making sure that they are coming out far ahead of everyone, especially looking at Rework, having the 6-point difference right now at the top, where it's like 2 points alone, even though there's the same record of 3-0. Them and Vaporeon haters, technically they are the team that is ahead by 2 points because they've had more of those 2-0s.
Yeah, absolutely. Vaporeon haters have dropped a couple of games here or there. A reminder, if you are just joining us for this round, 4 rounds in, of course, best of 3s, and then we hit playoffs and things get a little bit freaky. But we also look at the likes of Omon Boozaloof and Dift, who will be looking to boost their particular records going forward. TTAR and Power Rangers still to find that first series win, sitting on -5 and -6 game differential. And who are they going to be facing this week to try and right the wrongs, let's say? Well, looking forward to our docket, Magical, we begin with TTAR looking to try and find that first series win up against Dift. Power Rangers later on in the program, they've got a taller task, certainly if you look at the table, with Vaporeon haters, their enemies.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like, if you look at the schedule and look at how the standings currently is, Power Rangers technically have the harder match, but Dift is still a really good team.
Yep.
So, Dift, Omon Boozaloof, those are 2 teams that are really strong still in their own rights, even though they have now lost a series each. I'm still looking at them as being possible contenders for the eventual throne here of EUL. So don't count them out, but looking at that last one too, Rework Esports up against Nasty Family, where that's going to be a tough one for Nasty Family because they are in a similar boat to Electro Drifters, and Electro Drifters have to face against Omon Boozaloof, which I feel like, depending on how those 2 series, Omon Boozaloof versus Electro Drifters and Rework Esports Core versus Nest Family goes, that's going to start showing us either there are these Gate Guardians, like right there in the middle, to knock out teams from 4th place, or we might have a closer series and a closer standings than we'd really expect if we see some kind of upset out of the Electro Drifters.
Don't expect me to come up with riddles or indeed the questionable accent that the Gate Guardian would certainly suggest. Shout out to the children's trading card game. But no trading cards here. It's only Unite. It's a MOBA. It's exciting. Dift and TTAR, our first matchup, and I think a really critical juncture actually here, Magical. I think you're so right to highlight that each of these matches has their own element of importance. We could see 4 teams basically pulling away from the rest of the pack even more so, or we might see the teams closing up altogether. But Dift, they're looking to build a gap from those teams in the bottom 4.
Especially because now, having lost a series, they want to get back on their feet and say, hey, we are one of the strong teams. We are one of the teams you have to look at being one of the favorites to win it all. And it's hard to argue against them when you have such a stacked roster here. You got Zeta Lynx, Cascade, Jose, iClass, and Jirari, all players that we've seen many, many times in many competitions and do fantastic almost every single time.
Yeah, Eikler has that Season 1 experience. Jose has had quite the EUL been popping off. Meanwhile, TTAR, they've got plenty of fans in chat. They've certainly got some of the best trainer cards that you'll see in the game as well, with MDR and Haru matching beautifully. They really do have an uphill battle, though. It's not just the case. Well, actually, no, I apologize. It is the case that they're looking for their first series with Magical, because they did take a game in the last round up against Electro Drifters, but now they're looking to try and complete that series run. It all starts here in Game 1 draft. Umbreon and Psyduck are first on the ban table.
Yeah, but trying to take a series off of Dift is going to be very difficult, because Dift is definitely going to be coming out here with fires blazing, really upset about losing that one series, and want to show everyone that they are that top team. And seeing how the bans are going so far, going pretty quickly through them, with the Frog Alligator and Voltal joining the bench alongside Umbreon and Psyduck. And then that Chansey ban looks like a pretty good one. I think that's a solid one, but we've talked about this before, Relic, that there are a lot of mons that you can ban some of the strong ones, but you're leaving some of these powerful picks that kind of sneak their way through each and every time.
Because of the nature, as Typhlosion, funnily enough, alongside Yveltal there, is going to be the second offensive ban from a TTAR perspective, is interesting because of the way that the Unite roster is weighted, there are far less support and frontline picks than there are aggressive, like, ADC options. And so you actually end up taking out more of people's options if you go down that frontline and tank route than offensive. But it does mean, of course, that the ADCs kind of get to go hog wild. They're allowed to go, you're free with whatever they want to go with. But Jiraiya's going to be lining up their first pick with that Snorlax, locking in the front line. TTAR, though, they've got that Comfey and they've got that prized Sylveon already as a really strong Draining Kiss heal combo.
I do like that start for TTAR. Very, very strong, solid start in getting a Sylveon early. We know how a lot of players have been putting a lot of the onus onto picking Sylveon or banning it early in these drafts, especially when you're playing a fearless draft. They want to grab things like that really early on, but something that's going to be really strong against that is something like Mew, a really solid ADC, something that's great at sitting back and still doing a lot for the team. And then you add in a Surfetch to the mix. That's going to be a really solid team for Dift so far.
We saw the hovered Quaquaval. Armor might still go that way. Haru going to be locking in the Lapras, but I really love this this Pawmot as a counter to Cascade's Surfetch. Surfetch, what it does a lot of damage, but it does a lot of damage in a heap. Whereas Pawmot, of course, gets that regen. It's a brawler. You want to actually keep it in the fight for longer because it gets more value the longer it stays there. Lynx will be looking to lock it down potentially with telekinesis, although I imagine it's going to be leaning more towards the Amnesia build just to, again, bulk up its defensive stats. Jose's going with the Blaziken, probably going to be heading central area. Meanwhile, TTAR round out their roster magical. Looks like the Delmise to try and get the hook on that Mew that's going to be trying to float around and stay out of enemy hands.
I was waiting for it, but yeah, you're right. Delmise locked in. I am a big fan of Delmise. I've said this before. I think having a hook type Pokemon is something that adds a lot for these teams. I mean, you don't even have to just get the Mew. If you can get the Surfetch or the Blaziken out of position, those are going to be some nice targets for you to lock down too. And you have something like a Lapras that's going to allow for a lot of mobility around these fights and around the entirety of the Sky Ruins. I got to give a lot of credit to TTAR and how their composition is looking so far. The only question really is going to be, how do they set up these fights for that Pawmot to have the Comfey on top of them and be an absolute menace, as you talked about, that kind of pseudo tank with the drain damage type of attack formation? Yeah,
I think TTAR will be particularly happy not to see any yellow-backed Unite licenses. We don't see the Alcremie coming out. We don't see the Eldegoss coming out. And so healing is limited to Pokemon by Pokemon when it comes to this Dift roster. TTAR, I think this is, I mean, looking at this composition, it's a composition that's meant to frustrate. There's a lot of real tanky picks in there. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of snowballing, especially since Monkey has actually a lot of targets to go on to between that Sylveon and that Pormort in particular. But we'll see how things play out, Magical. Game 1 of the day, Dift in the purple, TTAR in the orange. Let's get uniting.
Where everyone's going is going to be the Pokemon and in both in the central one another. We'll see how they kind of move around. If there's going to be an invade, and there is, I see a Snorlax on his way to try to make Palmy a little bit more difficult early game.
Yeah, of course, it's Galarian Farfetch looking for stacks. Girari looking for chaos and violence and menace, but they're not going to be able to steal away that early Baltoy here, Magical. And it's important to note that this Comfey is joining Ultim in Central. That's going to be putting Girari off, but here comes reinforcements of their own, and they steal that purple buff.
Oh, nice steal there, and they're not done. They are going to try to make this even more difficult for TTAR. And anyone that might join, there is a potential that we saw Thelmize move down and help him out, but they have to get back into the path because top path is not looking so good either. Right there, nice push back and a KO for the Combustion, and they're going to dunk in a good amount of points already.
This is just fabulous early comms from Dift. Girari wanted help. Girari got help, although they might be going down here.
Not at all. It's going to be the other way around, turning it back and saying goodbye, Palmy. Taking even more Dift, really showing the dip in top path, but will lose out on their slow bro eventually. Might give TTAR something back in the top path after losing so much.
I apologize catching you mid-drink there, but of course, this is Pokemon Unite, Magical, and everything happens all the time. Double Draining Kiss then, actually, on this Sylveon Comfey. I was thinking they might go that way, but to actually see them commit is really interesting. We don't see it that much in Girari. Again, not successfully sealing the buff this time. It was MDR able to get the steal.
Yeah, but that also means that Palmo is still got... Oh, the Palmy is not yet Palmo, so not going to get anywhere you really need to just yet. Finally, it's going to find that evolution, but that is far behind where you need to be. Something that needs to get those level ups and get that final evolution into Palma.
And what Dift have done really well too is they've been able to find the scores early on. Admittedly, 83-0 isn't anything dangerous, but they might be able to find some KOs here.
Especially with Lapras getting caught out like that. First knockout, and then a heavy slam on the two. Sylveon and Comfey both going to join in the Pokemon Center as they're looking to get that Palma.
Oh, no!
Oh! With the Comfey, nice kick. Just beautifully done out of Dift.
Girari has weight, and they are throwing it around, Magical. Great initial engagement, great setup, but then to also find the body slam onto that Comfey into the Blaze Kick that had just enough time to charge up. Great extra experience that is surely going to make the difference going into mid-game.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't really see much that TTAR are going to do outside of having to wait for that late game because they're struggling, and even waiting for the late game, they don't really have that strong of a late game compared to that of Dift, and it was a nice steal there from Lynx to grab the Reggie as they are continuing to fight and get TTAR pushed around, pushing him all the way back against the wall. So you're going to be easy targets for us, as now with the Palmo down, a triple KO streak for Blaziken. Jose is looking beautiful in the top half.
Important distinction there, poor Mo. That's not you speaking with a French accent. It is still that middle evolution finally finds poor Mott, but just shy of 4 minutes in for your ADC. That is nothing short of a disaster for TTAR.
And for TTAR, I'm looking at, like, what are the options back? Maybe this kind of play, the over-aggression from Dift, saying, hey, you know, you might be able to beat us in most circumstances, but it looks like it doesn't matter because Zip just needed to get Cascade there. And Cascade will help out Jose. Barely any help, but just enough to make sure they live.
No shot. 1 HP and a dream. That Blaziken has gotten away with something that you can't say in poker. It's gotten away with a free KO. Let's put it that way, shall we? Also, spot the score at the top of the screen, Magical. 303-0, and we're not even 5 minutes in. Curb stomp.
Yeah, absolute domination here. And kind of going back to what I was talking about with how you have, sometimes you have scaling, you're like, okay, we can make it into the late game, we're gonna be fine. But there's a Blaziken on the side of Diffs. There's Mew, who's gonna be good at almost every stage of the game, the Surfetch too, and then you mix in the level discrepancy right now. Anytime they show up, TTAR get melted just like that.
I've seen ranked games that have ended, I don't know, about now. This Surfetch is popping off. The team is popping off. What do we say from minute one? Comms have been absolutely sublime. That's a great hook, though.
Great hook, but will it matter too
nice.
much? You gotta
Okay.
make sure they get the knockout. That is what you need. Now you've got one knockout, two knockouts for that Palmont. If they can follow us up with a triple onto Girori, that'd be even better. Start getting them those much needed levels to get back in the game. The anchor shot could be just a little bit shy, but look at the damage that's coming in as Ghatlue is just gonna constantly pepper them with these damage from the electro shots and say that anytime anyone shows up, I can just do more. Now that's given time for Cascade to show back up into the fight too. Another electro ball to get the knockout on to the Sylveon and everyone else from TTAR on the run.
This Palmont just isn't working out. Dift, whenever they see this Palmont enter the fray, again, it all comes down to great comms because they're all focusing it immediately magical. And as good as the health regen on Palmont is, it's not enough to be able to stem an overwhelming tide of 3 or 4v1.
Oh, I know. And just, I'm looking at elsewhere and looking at what is available and where they can go. They're trying right now for this desperate play around the Regieleki, but it's going to be another heavy slam and the block too to try to push them into the wall. Waiting for the setup because Blaziken's here. Jose's ready. They took the Lecky. They take the knockouts. And guess what? Cascade is waiting to wait and make sure they get more knockouts.
Girori with the stopwatch there. What a beautifully timed, but not for the first time, what a beautifully timed body slam yet again to secure that Regieleki. TTAR still haven't found a single score. They're lucky to have any KOs in pocket, Magical. 1 minute to the final stretch. It's a miracle or nothing.
I think you need a few miracles, not just one, to get back in this kind of game, especially when you see there's already a level 14 Blaziken, your highest, that Palmont level 12. Can you even match up to the Fire Chicken here?
Probably not. That's my in-depth analysis. Probably not. To be fair, they were unlucky not to score there, and this might actually be caught out of position. Punish? I shook again.
Nice anchor shot. Hey, there we go. That's the punishment you need. The over-aggression here from Dift. And with 20 seconds on the clock until we have Kyogre, could be something that they could utilize to set up, but I still don't know. Even with that, like I said, there needs to be several of those miracles if they want to get back in this game.
I mean, look, in theory, this composition that TTAR have, it works best when they're all together.
And now they got the anchor shot. They drag back in Lynx. They got to be careful because right now Cascade, he goes for the Nova and tries to see how much damage they can get, but not enough for the knockouts. While everyone here has shown up from Dip, they're waiting for the damage to get these knockouts, and they find it. The Palmont gone. They've already got Lapras. Only Sylveon left. It's a full ace. Cleanly done by Dip.
That thing which I was saying there, this comp should work well in theory when it plays together. Ultim alongside Monkey on the Comfey were just watching all of their friends get slaughtered. It was not even close because it very quickly turned into a 3v5, and those crucial seconds wasted charging up the Supercell Slam were moments where they needed that Palmont there and then, yesterday. Even a minute ago would have been good, Magical. It has been a complete and utter masterclass from Dift. 1 minute to go, and TTAR could be pointless.
I mean, this has been Dip's game since moment one. They have looked clean throughout it all. Sure, maybe they got caught out overextending once or in a while, but everything was always going Dip's way. This was Dip's game, and they never were looking like they were going to falter on that one. As right now, they might be losing some of these knockouts, but it's going to take more than just a miracle in these points as they are booking it right now. TTAR trying to get some of these points dunked in. I like the Lapras especially because they're going to try to get for the hundo right though. It's going to only be 40, so 80 there, and try to dunk immediately afterwards. can that give them enough points to actually get back? No, not even close. What am I saying?
I'm impressed that they got to 200. They still have enough points in pocket, I think, to be... I mean, they've gotten to almost half the score of Diff. That's impressive. But at the same...
Yeah.
And there's another Hundo Burger. So, I mean, look, when you read the scoreboard at home, folks, this game is going to look a lot closer than it ever was. Diff, comfortable, isn't even beginning to sell it correctly. Yeah, I mean, they just overcommitted at the end, knowing full well that they had enough points. It's as simple as that.
Exactly. They kind of were playing with their food at the end. They could have gone for the clean sweep in that game, not even allowing a single point to be picked up by TTAR, but all in all, they knew they had the win. And I got to look at this game and look at the difference between Diff and TTAR and just wonder, what can TTAR do? What can they change going into game 2 to stop the confident style of play that Diff are able to constantly perform at?
So I guess my concern, I didn't necessarily want to air it in case I don't know, I got embarrassed, because I think Diff actually ran a pretty similar composition, but there was nothing on that TTAR roster that kind of explodes with damage. Hormot is a brawler. Sylveon, it's hyper voice, and so you're looking to scale damage anyway.
True.
When you look at Diff, Cascade has got that burst critical hit damage.
True.
But, you know, Iclair's, you know, bits and pieces with Electro Ball and Solar Beam is kind of a supporting attacker anyway. Again, Blaziken kind of a brawler, and so we don't see any of these Dragapults or these Typhlosions, none of these hyperscaler attackers that you would expect to pop off with damage. And so TTAR, I think, putting together this composition, it looks on paper like a difficult composition to beat, especially when you've got a great engagement tool like Delmise, where you've got something that can secure KOs with the Perish Song of Lapras as well. On paper, it looks good. The problem is Diff has better players all around, at least from what we have seen this season. And because they were able to get those early punishes and those early frustrations onto TTAR, they were able to keep well ahead in the level game. And that's the worst case scenario for that TTAR comp. I mean, goodness, that Pormot wasn't online until 4 minutes in. Unforgivable.
Yep. There was that early invade too, where they just stole away the buff from them too.
Yeah.
To make it, just to constantly make sure that Palmo was a Palmy for so long. Like, even getting to Palmo took forever. So it just was one of those things that Diff understand where they need to target, how they need to punish TTAR, that TTAR just didn't know how to properly defend themselves against.
I guess the point that I'm trying to come around to is that if you switch the comps, so if Diff ran what TTAR did and vice versa, I think that Diff have as successful a game as what we actually saw them have. Because I just think that this is a roster, this is a composition, and I should specify composition in terms of the number of the Pokemon that we're seeing. It's a group of Pokemon that synergizes really nicely, but it does limit your win conditions. Diff had that Surfetched, and that Surfetched made a monumental difference in the team fights, where it was able to just shred through health bars, and that leads to easy KOs. When it leads to 1 or 2 KOs, then the entire game plan falls apart when you're TTAR. So admittedly, it's game 1. You can call it a mulligan if you like, but that point is still on the board. It's all-star draft though, so at the very least TTAR doesn't have to face what they just faced last time.
No, but you still have to worry about what else is out there. What else can now be brought out of the woodworks, because you too can't play the ones that you had just played either. So now you have to kind of figure out which ones did you decide not to pick, which ones did you ban last time that you might want to let through this time around. And I'm looking at some of the picks, especially, you talked about it before, the supporters and the defenders, these frontliners are going to be the real big ones. Umbreon banned again, but I'm looking at things like that Mamoswine, like the Crustle as like big options that our teams are going to start falling into.
Yeah, Diff can afford to go a lot more offensive focused with the bans, and we see that playing out immediately. Yvettal and for Alligator both taken off the board. For TTAR, they have focus support, and they're going to be locking away that Alcremie as well. I think that they're thinking what I'm thinking, which is that Dift has now the luxury to go and plunge into their support pool, although that support pool will also be minus the Psyduck. That was taken away by themselves. Maybe with an eye to TTAR first picking, but Typhlosion's available, and that's kind of the hot sauce right now in terms of hyperscaling ADC. So thank you very much, they say.
I expected that to be picked up the moment I saw that Alcremie ban, and then Evoltal was the answer, because you're trading at that point. It was either the Evoltal or the Typhlosion. Which one did you want to let through? They opted not to let the Legendary go through. The second gen starter making its way on to the Sky Ruins, and then we have a Zacian, and we have a Hoopa picked up by Diff, and I already have said many times why I love Hoopa. The mobility you have around the map for the whole team is going to be great, but I'm not seeing the Mamoswine or the Crustle. Instead, I see a Blastoise and a Goodra.
I really like the Goodra pick. I think that's very cool. Running Tenacity Belt too. Oh no. Oh no. And the Zapdos as well. Yucky slows and hindrances. Batman. That's horrific. And into a Zacian. By the way, who's that Pokemon? No, it's not Honedge. It is Zacian, despite the fact the dog does not feature in the art. But look at those gem eyes. Monkey going monkey mode. We got the Sableye on the field. And interesting, it's another strong core of meaty boys. The Armarouge going to be joining that Blastoise and that Buzzwole, and a Quaquaval coming into play as well. I kind of like it given what else they have picked, and also not too many I mean, it's literally just the Goodra as a hyperscaler, and so actually that Quaquaval going central area should pair nicely with what they're trying to cook here.
I really do like what Dift have brought. It's, as you said, going to be so hard to really move in a lot of these fights. The slowdowns are going to provide, and the chase down potential with the Quaquaval on their side too, and Zacian. Really interesting kind of composition here from Diff, that it is about the control, really about controlling space and allowing a lot of the damage to come in from the Quaquaval and from that Zacian.
Oh, we were seeing a site support build on that Zapdos. We are going a little bit more aggressive. That makes sense. There's an interesting crossover period here where that Armarouge is going to be, I think the Armarouge is, the only Stage 1 Evo across the entire roster. And so there's going to be this weird crossover moment where Armarouge is going to be at its best scaling moment up against, say, your Goodra, which always takes a little bit of time to get online, and that Quaquaval, which should be accelerated going through the central area, so it shouldn't be too bad for that. We've switched sides, TTAR purple, Dift orange. I want to see something different just in terms of basic macro and micro TTAR. Let's get a game on the board. Let's make it a competitive series.
We always want to see these games be close. We want to see the teams that have been struggling in the season start to find their foothold and what they can do in order to take down a team like Dift. And looking at their composition, it is a really good scaling composition. Ooh, though the Gumi getting a knockout up against Sable and Sableye is not going to be the thing you really want to see too often, especially when you have a Buzzwole in that lane. You're expecting the Buzzwole to be the one taking control.
Oh, that's a big pick for Cascade. They were so close to going down. I actually don't blame that Buzzwole for going in and giving it a go. But meanwhile, Lynx is looking to be a menace. They're taking over from Girari, and that's a badly timed respawn from an orange side perspective. Armor even popping the X attack to make sure that they get a KO right back.
And can they bring that momentum into the top
path?
Oh,
nice water gun.
Back. Beautifully done there, making sure they can get one, and Jose trying to get away, should barely be able to get that Quaxwell out of there, and Cascade diving into the fight again, but that time couldn't find the knockout.
Zacian is so scary. I think, like, actual in-game numbers wise, if you want a level 1 Pokemon, you want Zacian, the highest base stats in the game. It does tail off later on, and it does rely heavily on those Aeos energy boosts, of course. But for right now, Magical, you wouldn't want anything else, and it does show. TTAR really scared to try and go aggressive on this top path.
There's a reason why Zacian dominated the meta for so long, and so many players have just gotten this practice on him, knowing the ins and outs of that Mon. A nice slam
they hold off
the Gumi. Then Drawari got pushed back
Okay.
again. They find the knockout, and with Zacian, the
Oh,
backup
no.
as a Quaquavel says hello and sachets their way to the KO.
I loved that stun from Sableye, but it was all for naught. Nice steal there for the Armorers too. Grabbing the Reggie Drago, but here comes the cavalry!
As they easily take down two, get a nice eject button from the War Turtle, but the War Turtle's not got much space to try to get away, picking up the berry, left Monkey alone, and gets knocked out. It's a triple KO for Jose. As Haru saying, okay, I gotta get out of here.
That's a great rotate. Quaquavel, of course, is one of those Pokemon that's really interesting. They don't exactly have the health, like the chunkiest of health bars. But what they do is they bring opponents closer together, which is why it synergizes so beautifully with this Goodra and this Zapdos that can clap together for a nasty attack. Jirari, though, looking to do some nasty business himself. We saw Lynx earlier going for that invade. Now Jirari's back looking for extra EXP to go for that Goodra.
But we look top path and we see the Regieleki down so low. Who's going to get credit?
Nice.
It's going to be Armor Rouge again, and they get the knockout at the same time on Hoopa.
Yeah, Ultim's working really nicely, and I really like MDR on this Typhlosion as well. Just the Eruption alone is providing so much ADC cover that Regieleki's going to hit the pad. Ring, I don't think it's going to be hitting the pad itself, though. Mind you, what a great stun again from Monkey! Comes in with the, I don't even know the name, to be fair. He's not running Shadow Sneak, that's for sure. Great work, and Cascade sent packing.
What a block there from Monkey. Beautifully done. Just comes in and says, no. We got to get this Regieleki in here because we need to have this fight continue to be kind of chaotic. It's given us some avenues back into the game, even if they got a knockout right there on the Zapdos. Zapdos then stealing all this farm away from TTAR. At least they are these glimmers of hope for TTAR at the moment.
It's knockoff. That's what it is. It's knockoff. I've not run that move in so long. I completely forgot it existed. But I tell you what, it's actually a smart counter to Zacian as well. What does Zacian rely on? What are we talking about? Hey, you need to have those AO stores ready to go to empower your moves. Hey, guess what? If you have a Sableye, you can knock AO's energy right off them. Although that Metal Claw coming right back into the Sovereign Sword. Going for MDR on Typhlosion. Has to go for their Unite move. Doesn't get away. Big picks for Dift here in the mid path as Buzzwole's felled as well.
Man, for a second there, I thought that Typhlosion was going to get out of there. It looked too good to be true, and sadly it was. Couldn't manage their way out of there with the 1 health and a dream. As we go back into the top path, and we see that Hydro Typhoon with the Rapid Spin trying to get the knockout on a Jirari, but just taking it up for days. And finally falls, but that's only because the Typhlosion showed back up. The punch on Eklis to make sure they get the knockout eventually onto Zapdos with Cascade still top path. Here's another Eruption. The Z tries to see if he can dash his way back in, but slammed back as TTAR finally showing up strong in this top path.
Yeah, and Monkey is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. It's not just knockoff, they're running Confuse Ray as well, which is Confuse Ray, if you're able to hit at the right moment, completely disables a Pokemon, sends them running in the opposite direction. That's a half second where you can find a stun, where you can find a hit, where you can maybe find a KO, but finally that T1 zone has been cracked. That was a huge effort from Dift. Now looking for even more points as they bring Lynx to the party, but here comes the cavalry for TTAR.
As they push him back and push him into the central path, they've separated them from the Quaquavel. As they punch them into the wall, they need to get that knockout, and it's so close. Jose is barely surviving, but dragged back in. Not gonna let him get out of that one, as they find themselves 3 KOs in the entire fight.
And Ultim has been sniping all of these objectives as well. Another move that we don't see that often, the Rapid Spin Blastoise, but that chip damage is honestly a great deterrent for this Zacian and this Quaquavel that need to dive in to find their value. With that T1 crack magical, TTAR take the lead.
TTAR taking themselves the lead and finally really showing up in this game.
That's a huge 50 to buy them just a little bit more space magical. 90 seconds left. They don't want to like overplay their hand now. But this is a great advantage for TTAR to potentially set up strong in Central.
As I might have to take over because my PMX is free.
Uh-oh. Well, that is not a problem. I shall take over, good sir. So we've got a minute left on the clock then. For all parties involved, they're going to be looking to regen those Unite moves bars, and they're looking to try and find those yellow dots as quickly as possible. Super Soul Slam is available. Another KO here for Ultim on that Quaquaval that was stuck in enemy territory, and Lynx is going to be sent packing. Jirari not so lucky. They're not able to extradite themselves early enough, and they are collapsed in upon by all 5 of TTAR a little too early to try and go for the full send in the central area, but this is feeling real good. If you're TTAR, they will not be able to get that Regieleki. That goes into the hands of Diff, so not that TTAR will care. They're going to let that Regieleki hit whatever it may. Oh, they might catch Monkey out here. In goes the Zacian, and this might have to be it. TTAR, they've gone for it. MDR, they've activated the Unite move onto Jirari. Isn't able to find the KO, but no, that's a big potion for Jirari, who's able to get out of there. So MDR has burned that Unite move. It's the only Unite move that has been utilized. Now we hit the final stretch.
Ooh, and with the final stretch, Groudon on to the Theosky Ruins, we see Hoopa Unbound at the same time, trying to utilize that as we get a rapid spin with the Hydro Typhoon, but that damage already on a Haro, forced to try to see if he can get back some health and have the shields, but there's so much that's been used just to put the Blastoise out of there as we look at Monkey, who's trying to see if he can disrupt the backline with the Carnival Splash, taking down Sableye, but it's traded. No, it's just two down, and now they're trying to run away, but MDR cannot escape. The shields, are they enough? Barely keeping him on his feet as we see.
Oh, here goes Alma.
Just great work, got the double knockout, but taken down by the Blastoise. Armarouge has been slowed down forever. How can you even move in these fights?
Iclair's just whipping out the high voltage siege, getting a lot of time bought for him and his team, but time bought is not enough, Magical, because of those scores a minute and a half ago. TTAR still lead with a minute to go.
With a minute to go, so right now, Dift gotta fail that pressure. They get an easy knockout on the Blastoise.
Oh, they go for the rip.
Is out of there, so they're ripping it, and it's going down fast. Monkey's not even in a position to be able to steal it. It's gonna be Hoopa who secures it. Dift get themselves that, and they get the knockout on a Typhlosion. Dift will get themselves these points. They're following up with more knockouts. Monkey desperately trying to keep something back for the team. But as we see these big points dunked in, we know that Dift have won the series.
Absolute disaster for TTAR. They were the better team for the majority of the game, Magical, but pushed into a corner, backs against the wall. Dift, you love to see the confident shot calling to say, we got 60 seconds left, we know we're losing, let's just throw it because we've got a game advantage, and it pays dividends. They take down that Blastoise early. TTAR too late to the party, and TTAR will not find a game against Dift. They will not find their first series win. Dift, on the other hand, move up to 3-1 as a record.
Dift, again, saying that loss was just a fluke. They are a strong team. They're here to compete. Looking dominant in game one, where it was all their game the entire way. But in game two, kind of showing how they can come from a deficit, how they can still win a game when behind. And it's that confidence you have as the squad. We've seen it so many times where they just play knowing that once they got that pick, as you said, onto Blastoise, they ripped that Groudon so quickly, TTAR didn't even realize what was happening until it was way too late.
Yeah, Dift racking up the 666 at the end, and the devil was indeed in the detail, Magical, because being able to pick off Blastoise early on, Blastoise was effectively the TTAR ward. I don't blame TTAR for going a little bit more conservative, because they wanted to try and find resets on their Unite moves, so they could basically do what they did, but again with that second minute of the final stretch. But at top level Unite, teams won't give you that free avenue, that freedom of the map to say, okay, sure, go and get your Unite moves, because meanwhile, we've got enough ripability in our composition to just go for it. And getting the Groudon in particular, that's one of the worst buffs you could possibly get as an opposing team facing it, because of the attack scaling. It means that in a 1v1, you are basically 90% of the time losing it. Even if you're going, say, defender against all-rounder, that fight's just going to go on forever. So Dift playing the map and playing intelligently. Their experience showed in the end. A great look for TTAR. Fantastic look for TTAR. For me, this is one of the best games that we've seen from them all season. But they just didn't have that final 10% to get it over the line.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how Pokemon Unite is. You gotta just... You can be winning most of the game, but then it comes down to the Groudon, Kyogre, Rayquaza, whatever it is. It comes down to that important moment, and that's where they just can't hold on to it any longer. And then a team either makes a miracle play, or, as we see with Diff, they just make a confident play with that pick. They knew they could get back into this game, they could take the lead, and they can win it out.
A good look from Jose on the Quaquaval. I thought that's... I mean, considering that we saw Quaquaval make one of its earliest competitive debuts a couple of weeks ago, and it wasn't that great, this looked a lot more convincing. Again, when the team is actually built around Quaquaval's strengths, you can see how it's such a disruptor, and when you're trying to lure in like your Buzzwole and you're luring in your Typhlosion, get close, because, hey, guess what? If I can hook you two a little bit closer together, my Zapdos is hitting 2 for the price of 1.
And kind of what we were talking about before with how these fights are, where if you watch the fights in slow motion, like it would be not even just slow motion for TTAR. It's like a fourth of the speed of a normal fight, because how much they're slowed down in so many of these fights. And it's just the zone control. It's so difficult for TTAR to take some of these fights against Diff and do so well, because they're kept in these small corridors and they're just slowed down forever.
Yeah. I want to give some flowers to TTAR before we wrap up on replays here. Ultim on the Armarouge. Great redemption story. They were truly marked out of the game on the Pawmot last time out. This time around, some great objective secures, some really important KOs swinging the fight over in the favor of the purple side. I think MDR and that Typhlosion as well, really utilizing such a powerful Pokemon to good effect. But for me, the star of the show, Magical, was Monkey on this Sableye. Some critical interventions, a great counter against the early pick Zacian, of course, and even here, getting the Chaos Glower off onto the Zapdos, but somehow it must have been a DOT or something that snaps it out and makes it remain in that fight. Because if it's sent back to the Pokemon Center, we all of a sudden don't see this high voltage siege that comes through in a couple of seconds here, right now. And that is ultimately what stops Armor in their place on this Buzzwole. Ultim also kind of stopped in their tracks. They were so fortunate not to go down. 0 health. But this, of course, a critical moment right now as they go for the rip.
And huge shout out to Monkey too, being a sub for the team, coming in here and just playing amazingly in this one, doing a great job as that sub to really help that team, and almost was able to get them that game too. Just sadly, not quite enough.
Indeed. Right, we are going to be taking a short break, folks, but don't go anywhere. More EUL after this. Welcome back, friends, to EUL. I'm Relic, he's Magical. Should give a big shout out, of course, to Shivam on production. And we keep on rolling on with round 4 of the matches. And speaking of the matches, it's Oman Bouzalouf who are going to be taking to the field next. A very similar sort of game setup here, where we had one team on, 2-1, and they're looking to try and break away and get closer to those top 2. Well, Oman Bouzalouf, in that scenario, they're heading up against the Electro Drifters, who are trying to even out their record to a 2-2.
And if they can do that, they can make sure to deny any kind of gatekeeping between the top half and the bottom half of the standings. Make sure that they're still in that running, but it is going to be difficult for them. They're really going to have to play their best games they've played ever to make sure that they're getting even just to the middle of the pack right here. And you can see these players, they all are doing well in their own right, but it's just tough in this competition.
It really is. Electro Drifters, there's always fun narrative lines to try and weave and follow here. They picked up their first series win against TTAR, who we've just seen. And on another day, they take Dift to game 3. And when you're in game 3 territory, who knows? So this is definitely a team that Oman Bouzalouf cannot be sleeping on. Oman Bouzalouf themselves, who had a slice of fortune in the 3rd round of matches, the Nasty family simply not turning up, and so they managed to pick up a W, a free 2-0 by virtue of just being there on the day. I'm not going to say that they are rusty Magical, because all of these players hound the ranked ladder, determined to make my day even worse. But right now, they're in a dedicated lobby, and shout out to all the players, by the way, on time and ready to go for our wonderful admin staff. Thank you very much. But I'm excited to see what this team can cook up today, because, of course, they feature some of the most explosive attacking players that you will find in the region.
And with this meta, with this style of draft, when you have Fearless, the All-Star mode, where you can place all kinds of styles, you really can change it from game to game, because you're forced to change it from game to game. It allows a lot of these players to express more of their skill and more of what they're capable of, as opposed to just the same meta things over and over again. Woo.
Woo! Your voice going to the shadow realm there. Have a drink, buddy. And actually, a big reminder to chat. Yo, get that H2O in your system, folks. And especially if you are in Europe. My goodness, and a 4th heat wave on the way, apparently. So stay safe if you are going out there. Or if you're like me and you're staying indoors, get yourself a tower fan and make sure that you're stocked up on all of that good, clear stuff. Right. Bands Magical. Very similar thinking to, I guess, what has been the meta. Blissey, Umbreon, Psyduck, Snorlax, not an attacker in sight. There's our first ADC carry, Megaluca.
Yeah, and that one, it feels like, is a necessary ban against Oman Bouzalouf. We have seen how well they can play with that. It's one of those, they're one of those teams that you have to take away something so strong like the Mega Lucario from them. But Oman Bouzalouf just go for 3 frontline bans, take away a bunch of defenders, and really narrow that pool.
Yeah, put in the red stop sign on the green licenses. That's not going to stop the Electro Drifters from picking up the Crustler, though. Prof Mush has been a real aficionado on the Rock Crab, and so I'm excited to see them back on it, really leaning into what they do well. But, hey, this is the first time I'm going to be seeing it in action, fresh off the buffs, which apparently have made it okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've not seen it much in ranked. Mephil on the Yveltal and Mbok on the Hooper.
And I'm still looking at some of those other big Typhlosion still available that can be picked up by Electro Drifters right here. Yeah. We're looking at quite a few of those supporters. And there it is. Picking that up with an Eldegoss.
Yeah, and CKO will be moving on to the Eldegoss. Yeah, exactly. So the Eldegoss, DJ on the Typhlosion. So, I mean, look, they've got a lot of flexibility in these final 2 picks. Nachos without the Mega Luca is going to go for that Zacian instead. And Qatar, who has been enjoying a Lapras as of late, will be rocking that, of course, with that Incense and that Big Root alongside the Focus Band for pure survivability.
One thing I've been loving about the format with this Fearless draft, with the All-Star draft, however you want to call it, is that you get to play a lot of these Pokemon that normally get ignored. And Lapras, to me, felt like one of those defenders that was getting slept on for so long. And finally, she's starting to get back into the limelight. People are going, oh yeah, actually, Lapras is pretty good. The mobility that you get around the map is really nice.
It is really nice, and they've gone for a full movement comp here, of course, with that Hooper. So Oman Buzaloof have got great opportunity. I mean, they could also go Trick Hooper to try and boost Traffy on the Greninja. Almost certainly going to be going to that central area. Is the only Pokemon that needs to evolve at all, by the way. So if that wasn't your who's going to central warning, that's your who's going to central warning. A low-key pick, which I'm actually quite interested in from the Electro Drifters, going with the Rainbow comp, by the way, very traditional, is Zika on this Absol. Now, Absol kind of floats in and out of the meta. It's kind of been untouched for a while by the developers. It's got its detractors and it's got its people who enjoy it as a bit of a pocket pick, a bit of a pocket ace. I think early game, for what they want to do, Psycho Cut is going to be absolutely 100% their best tool of attack going forward. If you're able to go central area, you get Psycho Cut, I think, after level 5, level 6, I think it is, because you get Night Slash first. If you're able to get Psycho Cut early enough, that's quite scary for your Zacians and your Hoopers who are going to try and run the show early on. So we'll see whether they are able to do that. Electro Drift is your purple side. Oman Buzaloof your orange side. Game 1 of potentially 3.
Let's see if we get those 3 Electro Drifters. They've been able to do it before, as you talked about. Again here against Oman Buzaloof, gives them that opportunity to take the entire series and make sure that they're not going to be gate kept out of the top part of the standings.
So what are we talking about when we look at Yveltal? Well, again, as a Pokemon that doesn't evolve, they have a very strong early game, quite similar to Zapdos, except with more prolonged damage as opposed to the hindrances that we see with Zapdos. So again, for Oman Buzaloof, this is looking to try and get enough of an advantage early game so that by the time they start tapering off late game, they shouldn't be at a disadvantage, because since we're looking at Electro Drifters, that Typhlosion is going to be a ruckus.
Seeing where points are kind of getting dunked right now, and not seeing anything too fancy. But I am seeing at least some movement into the central path. Yveltal kind of moving with that Zacian and Hoopa. Thought for maybe a second they're going to try to make a play in the bot path, but opting not to, opting to go back to the top.
Yeah, I'm surprised. No, well, now we've got the Frogadier from Traffy, but just taking a little bit of time to meet up with the team and make sure they got an idea of what they're doing. Great sourcing out here of Zika in the central area, who was looking to try and punish them with a flank. They're actually going to get outflanked themselves, going to come all the way down here to the bottom path, where they will fight Guitar getting KO'd, but Prof Mush gets KO'd right back. Look at me, Phil, they do get the KO there, and able to get the points down to take the lead.
Off the back of that, but at least Oman Buzaloof, they're not going to be completely out alone and not have anything. They're getting that invade still, as Zacian was taking a lot of the points in the central path and can start moving. I'm really going to be curious about where that first movement is going to be from Nachos to really start helping out the rest of the team.
Yeah, on Zacian, of course, you're not really looking to score, are you? But he's going to be very happy to pocket 20 Eos energy from that Regidrago. It's irony in itself, isn't it? You get the 20 points for the Regidrago, but you're not really going to be using the scoring buff. You're waiting for that moment to boost your own attack and then go for the swipe.
And I'm looking at how the teams are kind of at the moment waiting here in the bot path. Nachos was there. It's just me waiting on bated breath and see if there's going to be that play from him or not. Like you said, not really needing to dunk in, but actually not wanting to because you need those points. And for Oman Buzaloof, it really is going to be if that first attack is going to be successful for them. Maybe not, because Traffy just solos out the top path completely, and that allows the rest of the team to have a strong force in the bottom path, even diving into the flux. And look at Guitar taking the knockout onto Eldegoss all by themselves. The team's not even backing them up, but not even caring at the moment, just getting so much pressure that the team can easily get Regilecki.
That's a really nice front line. Yveltal putting down those dark pulses as well, getting a little bit of stun action in there. Regieleki with a free trip into that base. They're going to be able to get that down to single digits. Good overdunk potential for later on. They're not going to be able to... Oh, will they collapse the zone actually? Yes, they... No, they won't. Never mind.
What?
And Traffy, meanwhile, popping off in this top path. I can hardly catch what was going on.
Okay, so everything I was saying about, like, oh, it's going to be on Nachos and where you make your first play, nah, that's out of the window. Traffy's just winning the game. Traffy is just said, you know what? No, I am playing Greninja. I'm playing one of my favorites. I'm going to solo this game completely. TTAR is getting soloed out in that Rock Tomb, but the team was able to get the Regice off the back of it.
I must apologize. That was my best UCS observer impression. Where I was too busy looking at the other side of the map, and I wasn't just bathing in the glory that is Traffy. An unbelievable piece of work. Level 11. Zika's still popping off himself, though. Still finding these picks on bottom path. Good overdunk potential here, down to 4 points. Potential 36-point overdunk. But for Qatar, who is back on hand to defend.
Zika trying to get away, slowed down forever though, picking up as many barriers
no!
as possible, but when you thought you were safe, Nachos was waiting and wait.
Oh, man. And, well, now coming back to the point which I was interested in, 3 points on that zone, so a great overdunk potential for Omon Buzaloof. Should they lead by roughly 50 points, by the way, so it's not the end of the world for Electro Drifters, but I am so concerned about this level advantage now. 1 double-digit player in Zika for the Electro Drifters. Only the Hooper of Mbok, not double digits for Omon Buzaloof. Electro Drifters, look at the yellow dots, folks.
And look how much damage they do so quickly onto that Eldegoss. Easily slicing down the Mon, who's only level 8, while the rest of the team, we felt, taking down another Lucky for themselves, getting themselves more of these Regis that should be able to get them that... they already had the points at the single digit before, so now it's going to be them getting a ton of points dunked in far further.
Oh, this is a big send, actually, for Omon Buzaloof. They unleash the Unite move of the Yveltal. They don't find a KO, however. Professor Mush having to use the eject button to get back into relative safety, but they put so much defense on this Regieleki push. Omon Buzaloof get this top path for free.
Yet a nice little overdunk on that as well. Traffy getting the points for it, and with Reggie Steele spawning another Reggie with the name of Omon Buzaloof. Electro Drifters, every time they're playing for these fights, anytime they're making a call right now, it all just feels reactive.
It's absolutely spot on. Reactive is the word, which is why I'm really concerned about Electro Drifters and their lack of being given an opportunity to be proactive, even in terms of finding wild Pokemon magical, because Nachos has been really keen to go for those aggressive rotations down to bottom path, going into opponent central, basically taking away all of those yellow dots that could be going over to Electro Drifters to help them catch up. And there is a catch-up mechanic magical. If Electro Drifters find 1 or 2 KOs, they can absolutely find parity before the final stretch, but it's a huge if.
And one of those targets has got to be the much easier to get Greninja, but that damage not...
Okay.
Oh, yes, it is! Slicing down Yveltal. Zika showing up strong after that Night Slash, but might fall themselves afterwards. Lapras trying to chase down as two more autos to pick it up. And with Traffy showing up, that's the cleanup crew. Even an X-Scissor couldn't delay long enough for them to live.
Just a little bit too much of an overcommit from Zika, and then Electro Drifters are really concerned about, do we try and cover Zika's escape? Should we commit to the fight ourselves? The end result, magical, is that this Regieleki is now given over to Omon Buzaloof. Again, Electro Drifters this time trying to take the initiative, but almost picking the wrong scenario to take the initiative with.
And with only a few seconds left until we'll have our Kyogre, it is going to be on these teams on how they can kind of play around that, and if they're going to actually make these plays to try to defend that. Electro Drifters, they've got to have something, some kind of call to make sure they're being slightly proactive, because it always feels like they're answering, and now a huge overdunk right at the perfect moment.
Yveltal is split off here, but Mbok has still got that Unite move ready to go. They didn't even need to use it to bring back Traffy, who finds a Typhlosion!
and tries to get him down with the eruption. That's going to be the throwback, and even with the Unite, it's not enough. Traffy gets rid of Typhlosion, carried down, Chase in, Nacho slicing back, but Surfetch tries to get the note for burst themselves, but they just throw it right back in their face. Get the Surfetch, even if one has been taken down. They've gotten rid of the Sword Doggo. They are slowed down forever. No room to move, losing their support, and soon going to be their tank to join them. The X-Scissors trying to heal back up as they pulled down the Rebel Rouser. Zika was looking to dunk in 100 points, but just not enough time, as enough time has been given over for Typhlosion to respawn, but a Shirk into the face as go back to the Pokemon Center. Have Zika join you with you. We're even going to send a Surfetch alongside. Make sure that we've got this game in the bag.
What did I say Qatar was running? Survivability build. The health regen's insane. That Water Pulse. I thought they were going to go Perish Song, but no, the Water Pulse just further leaning into the strategy. There's the Mbok Unite move. There's Kyogre going down. To be fair, I think Omon Buzaloof had this one wrapped up anyway. But Electro Drifters, I think, just completely out-macroed, and Traffy having a game.
I mean, that's the thing to me. They were out macroing him already, but there was those moments for Electro Drifters. You're like, okay, they've made good calls here. They've been able to react well. They've got themselves back in the game, and then all of a sudden we see a 1v3 triple KO by Traffy in the top path. It's like, okay, never mind.
Shout out to Omon Buzaloof, who didn't lose a single zone, by the way, for a Hooper comp. That is best case scenario going into the final stretch. And you could just, I mean, that's one of those catch-22 scenarios where Electro Drifters did have small amounts where they maybe could have gone for a smaller overdunk just to limit Omon Buzaloof on A, vision, and B, the opportunity to rotate quicker, especially during those final 2 minutes. But also, you're like, you know that you're a lot of points behind because you've lost both of your T1s, and so you kind of want to keep those T1s just in case you can get maybe a cheeky Hundo Burger, as we saw Zika attempting to do. But again, you're trying to get a cheeky Hundo Burger against a literal movement-based comp. They're gonna catch you.
Yeah, it is unfortunate there for Electro Drifters. They just have, there's certain things that they had in their composition. You're like, oh, those are strong on paper. But then you look at what Omon Buzaloof did to answer them and just felt like they had perfect answers in almost every scenario. And then looking at that big old Traffy Greninja there, 8 KOs, 201 points, just absolutely dominating on that Pokemon. You're very happy that this is All-Stars mode where you do not have to worry about that Greninja anymore.
Yeah, Traffy playing Atlas today because they got wide shoulders and they lifted the rest of the team on top of them. You might look at the amount of KOs that they got and how much damage they were doing in one swipe and thinking, man, 65k, that's not a lot. Well, yeah, because the health bars were being decimated so quickly that there was not enough time to register damage in the first place. The good news for Electro Drifters is that Traffy will not have access to Greninja in game number 2. Bets on Cinderace, though? Cinderace, anyone?
It's gotta be. I mean, though, it's one of those unfortunate situations where you've already banned Blissey, Psyduck, and Mega Lucario. You know, if Mega Lucario gets let through, that's going to be picked up pretty quickly. So it's like, which one do you opt not to ban in this one? Do you let the Blissey or Psyduck through? Do you let the Mega Lucario? Then all of a sudden you have to deal with that kind of menace on the other side. It's just hard. This is the play that we're talking about. Just look at that.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely crazy.
I do apologize for missing that Traffy, genuinely. I'm glad that we have the replays so that I can witness it and say, oh yeah, that was pretty sick, bro. Look, if you kind of hit the nail on the head earlier, Magical. It was a very reactive game from Electro Drifters. They were clearly trying to look for mistakes from Omon Buzaloof.
Right.
These are the reigning champions of EUL, by the way. They're not exactly the team that is necessarily prone to making those sorts of mistakes. And I think you've got to take that proactive mindset into draft. Like, forget trying to limit what your opponents are doing, because you could try and predict that Cinderace on Traffy all you like. Traffy's just going to pick something else. He's still going to be Traffy. He's still going to be really good on that Pokemon. So focus on your own game plan and again lean into your strengths, because by lifting yourself up, you're giving yourself the best chance of winning.
That's honestly the truest statement you could possibly say, and that's something I feel like when it comes to competitive, that a lot of the teams that tend to struggle are.
Yeah. Oh dear. That's a solid. Yeah, no, I agree. And actually, here's the thing. Oh, you're back? You're back?
Yes.
I'm glad you're back, because I actually want to highlight Monkey from TTAR again from our last series, because what did they do? After basically being a passenger on the Comfey and watching the rest of his team fall to their demise, took business into his own hands. Picked a Sableye, something that he had complete agency over, a bit of a left field pick, and he was one of the most influential players on that entire map. That is a great case study in why choosing something that you are comfortable with, as long as it does work into an overall team game plan, can pay great dividends, even against some of the best teams.
Yes, exactly. It's comfort to me is king. You go for the meta all you want, but you got to be comfortable on some of these picks. So now it's the time to just bust out something you're like, they're not going to expect this. We love playing this Pokemon, even if it's not necessarily the best in the meta or does super well with certain other mons. Just get something that you feel like you're most comfortable with.
Right, so Psyduck instead of Blastoise for Omon Boozaloof on the ban table. Electro Drifters going for that Mew. Clearly an eye towards Mephil, I believe here. Mephil, of course, also very strong in the Inteleon. First pick for Alligator. Spicy opening and aggressive from the Electro Drifters. I like that. Forces Omon Boozaloof onto the back foot.
Yeah, it's something that wasn't banned in our last game. Was banned earlier in the other series, but it was kind of left open before. And this time around, it's getting picked up by Electro Drifters I like. But then Espeon here for Mephil. Another one of those ones I really do like, and seeing a Buzzwole for Nachos for early game pressure.
Yeah, so this is with an eye to catching that for Alligator before they go unstoppable, because for Alligator likes to go unstoppable a lot, in which case your attempted suplexes and Psyshock stuns are not going to come through. Having a Zapdos providing a cover in front of you, I love that. Prof Mush, if we're running that Surf Blastoise, also really like that. Omon Boozaloof now, looking at this front line. Qatar, I relate Qatar to the Trevenant more than anything else. I think that's a smart choice. Again, trying to counter that for Alligator's movement. Traffy, not the Cinderace. Instead, we're going for another starter, the Desi coming out. Surely got to be the Spirit Shackle, though, with an eye to that Zapdos.
Wow, now that is interesting to see out of Traffy, and I like it. I love seeing a good decision, especially when you have a front line like having that Trevenant, but I need to see what they get the last pick for Mbonk to be, because I feel like you need a little bit more, especially when you have to deal with something like a Feraligatr, Suicune, and now a Lucario on the other side. Things that really want to be right in your face fighting.
So we got the support Suicune. Omon Boozaloof, they were looking at this Wigglytuff earlier. Mbok. Man, they are really looking at Feraligatr thinking how best to stop it. I think Mr. Mime is the better choice, because listen, you can't put an unstoppable Feraligatr to sleep. You can put a wall in front of a Feraligatr and force him to go around it.
Exactly. That was my number one thought the moment I saw the Mr. Mime. Like, oh, that's so mean. Like, up against Feraligatr, because as you said, unstoppable, can do what you want, evil crocodile all over the place, but then a magic wall appears in front of them, and you guys, I gotta go around this. So it slows them down and makes it a little bit easier for Omon Boozaloof to kind of make space for Traffy in a lot of these fights, because it's going to be Traffy and Mephil that trying to make a lot of space for. But it's still going to be difficult because, well, yes, you could put some walls up to stop the Feraligatr. The zone control that a Suicune and a Zapdos can help provide for the team with their slowdowns is going to be really difficult to fully stop here out of Omon Boozaloof.
I'm interested in what lane deployment we're going to see here for Roman Buzalov. Traffy goes central, clearly. You want to get onto that Desi early. And I imagine Mbok goes... Well, that's the thing is... Buzzwole and Espeon can both go top. Mr. Mime can go top. I imagine Qatar is probably going bottom path regardless. For Electro Drifters, it feels a little bit easier, though. You send Seiran into that central area. It's the only hyperscaler that you've got outside of Prof Mush, in which case Squirtle's a pretty good early game threat anyway. We're going to find out in short order. Electro Drifters purple, Oman Buzalov orange.
My thought was in the Buzzwole top, and I was actually thinking you send it top with the Trevenant, but it looks like it was going to be up top with Lime. This would be a nice Espeon with the help of that.
Yeah.
Bully around a little bit.
So it's just a little bit less EXP on that bottom path, but that's not too much of a concern for any of the evolution line, given that you're hitting that stage 1 Evo at level 4. Got an early look here from the Zapdos, and actually complete left swing here from Electro Drifters, or a left-hand turn, I should say, 90-degree turn. That Totodile's gone top path, so they sent Zika on the Lucario Central.
So, I don't know if I've ever asked you, Relic, what is your favorite Pokemon? Like, what was your
just outright
favorite Pokemon Pokemon generation? Sorry.
Oh, 3.
3. Okay, interesting. Yeah, you are a little younger than me. That does make sense.
I mean, Pokemon... I grew up with all of the Pokemon generations, but Gen 3 was the first one where my human brain was... I say my human brain like I'm an alien. My human brain was fully developed. Like, yeah, no, I knew what I was doing by the time Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire came around.
See, I'll always have a soft spot for the second gen. Pokemon Crystal was the one that I played the most as a kid, so it's always something I have a soft spot for. So anytime I see the starters from Gen 2 makes me really happy. Same with seeing Suicune, Entei, Raikou. I love seeing those Pokemon too. Outside
of the destruction of our competitive esport, it's been a pretty good couple of months for Magical with Pokemon Unite.
It has, with the Pokemon that have been introduced. I've been very happy with the Pokemon that have been introduced, I will say. Ignoring everything else, I like that part of it.
And as I say, Meganium holds history as the first ever Sage 2 Evo supporter in the game. So that's something that'll be able to keep on to forever. Electro Drifters won't be able to keep a hold of this lead forever, though. 47-0, real strong opportunity with 4 on top path.
Yeah, putting up the wall. They're hoping to get that Croc-Gnaw, but not quite able to find the Croc. There are no crocodile hunters up here.
Are they in Dundee, Magical? That's the question. 20 seconds left until our first set of Reggies, and Mbok hasn't quite got the catches. That's a lot better into the Spirit Shackle, but there's that Evo onto the Feraligatr, but there's Traffy with the clap back. The Electro Bird set packing.
What a snipe, Traffy. My goodness. Absolutely crazy. Last game, it was the outplay with the Greninja. This time, there's the fadeaway snipe with the arrow saying, all right, I'm going to take this with me as I get out of here.
There was a world where Traffy goes Razor Leaf and we're all laughing, but no laughing matter here as Zika loses out on the purple buff and has to use that Bone Rush to get away. Nacho's not for the first time this series, Magical, going for those big disruptions in enemy central. His team's already got the Regieleki for him. Does pay for it with the KO, but now those reinforcements are going to be slow to the zone, too slow.
Looking, though, they were able to get the Lecky and they get the pad as well, so they'll gladly trade that. They'll say, you know what? A knockout for the entirety of that bot pad. Now we can rotate up top as Regirock. Oh, it's down to 50, but not going to be fully committed to. In fact, letting it it didn't even reset. No!
Real unfortunate for Seiran. The rest of the team are here, though, looking for the steal. No! Whoa, went too early! Traffy went too early! The steal for 8 Sikio, and there's Zika picking up the Buzzwole. Mbok goes down. Big knock, though. Takes down the Feraligatr. Qatar with the Tree Hammer. Slams the 2 in place. 2 KO streak here for Traffy, as Electro Drifters can't punish.
And they're looking to see if they can fall for another Spirit Shackle. My goodness, Traffy. Traffy cannot miss with these arrows, except for right there, because I was talking about it.
Nice bait out from Zika. Mifo looking for the 30 down. There goes the Feraligatr Unite move. Hits the wall. Into the side shock. Tree hammer into the Phantom Forest. Zika goes down. Traffy backline poke. This Desi is decimating.
Absolutely going crazy right now, looking for another arrow as they are just taking control. Even if they lose out on one tree, finding more and more knockouts, more experience. Level 11 already. Make that level
DJ.
12 for the Decidui.
Very fortunate they had their eject button. And look, they're looking for Nachos again. Nachos just doesn't care. Good freeze here from 8 Sikio. Nice knockup from Seiran. Nachos into the ground suplex, but too many players. They snuff out the threat.
Make sure
nice
they
wall.
finally get that knockout. Nice wall. But here's that for Alligator. Do you want to commit on a Traffy or just trying to get out of there? As we look top path and Meatville, no way out of there. No way home. And a nice overdunk for Electro Drifters to tie it up completely.
But and a reminder, tie rules. It's whoever hits that score first. So Omon Buzaloof, although it's a tie game, still technically leading.
Technically leading, but we know that's not going to last for too much longer. Something's going to change, as this game has been quite topsy-turvy. Right now, Zika looking for Traffy. That'd be a huge knockout to get rid of the Owl.
And that gives them so much space and free real estate to get to work on that Reggie Alecki Zika on this back line. Hey, no wonder they sent them central, because they're finding so many great entranceways, forcing Mbok defensive. Although, because of that heavy commit onto the defense bottom path, Electro Drifters have let in a lot of scores here. And Prof Mush, yeah, I'd use that surf to retreat as well, son, because you weren't going to win against Nachos and Mephil.
No, and this is what I meant, that tie wasn't going to last too long. Both teams right now playing are very, very aggressive. And I love this from Oman Buzloof, really showing that they are that team that has been the top for so long. They're reigning champions for a reason. But for Electro Drifters, showing that they are not afraid. They're not deterred. They will fight tooth and nail. It doesn't matter if it's the top of the table or the bottom. They're always going to play with their heart.
Looking for a steal here, and it's so difficult. Only the frontline options here, Magical. And this time, Traffy does get it right with the Spirit Shackle Snipe. So that's a Reggie Rock. They won't have that Reggie Rock, actually, for as much of the final stretch as they would want. But they will still have it early on. So if they want to go for that big full send, well, they will have that buff in pocket.
Yeah, and for them having some extra stats is going to be nice. Oman Buzloof going to feel pretty good. We are getting close and looking at where the teams are playing that last Reggie Lecky in the bot path. Seems like Oman Buzloof want to get one more little advantage and have a possibility of scoring in some points, or just using that so that there's going to be some attention split from the Electro Drifters, but they aren't fully committing to it because I guess granted, it is way too close until we have Groudon.
Well, yeah, Oman Buzaloof kind of gave away their position. Electro Drifters had too much vision on them. That's a nice little stun onto Nachos, and that's really going to be the big play here is DJ versus Traffy.
Nachos overcommitting. Now
nice
slam back and try to get something back for the team as we see the showtime has been popped, trying to chase away Electro Drifters. Get rid
the
of that
freeze on
Zapdos
Nachos!
From the fight. They got rid of the Zapdos though. Mime was able to solo it out, and now even if they take down Buzzball, Mime's looking for another one. And
big stun!
A hero for the team. Finally getting slowed down. Eject
Mayfield!
Groudon, but Mayfield showing up with a perfect knockout. But all this time, it has been Zika trying to take down more. Zayran was able to at least get one more for the team, but it's just going to be the two. They will be joined in by another two in just a moment.
Look at Oman Buzaloof. They already understand that Electro Drifters has gone for the rip. Groudon in pocket. It's all hands to the pump on defense, Magical.
They got to make sure they're playing perfectly on this one. Where are you going to path Electro Drifters? Do you look for the fight at this overextended bot pad, or do you try to see if you can send one top and get that maybe dunk? It's going to be difficult for them at the moment.
Yeah, that backline threat from Traffy is still very present. They're also going to be wondering, Electro Drifters, should they send someone top path? I wouldn't if I were them, but look at Qatar providing vision here.
The tree behind them, sneaky. as they are onto this one. They want to get the 50 dunked in.
Okay.
Tehran is going to be the one getting that one as they throw down some damage, but it's going to be answered completely by the
Oh,
tree.
they got it back.
So they don't even gain the lead as they pop the Psycho Solaire, and with Showtime pop too, they got rid of Lucario. They need the points sunk in. As Feraligatr trying to chase down the situation, has gotten rid of a major threat, but on the pad,
Unite move!
They've been locked down by the tree. They've been able to get it. They've got themselves some knockout. Horn Leech trying to stop them from getting any more points.
Oh, 60!
30 more than 30, 60 points. Is it enough? I think it is. I think Electro Drifters have taken us to game 3.
Yeah, I think they managed to score that beautifully, actually. They had to go after Traffy. They did get them eventually, and it was enough in the end. Electro Drifters, they had to use the Feraligatr card, but that Feraligatr card wasn't wasted. Tie series, they're taking the champions to game 3.
Well done from them on the fight when it came to Groudon, on how they fought around those spot pads to make sure they can get the points. Well done. This is what we were talking about from Electro Drifters. This team that is scrappy, that's really trying to make a name for themselves and say, hey, we are not going to be kept out of the top of the standings. We will do our best. We'll try to see if we can not just get kept right there by Oman Boozloo, but actually surpass them by taking a series off of them.
Really lovely draft, setting up to enable the Feraligatr. But hey, I wasn't aware of your game, Electro Drifters. Zika going central area early on this Lucario. I'm looking at that thinking, what on earth are we doing here? What they're doing, Magical, is they're keeping ahead of the general level scaling graph that we see across all 10 of these players. It means that Lucario is still very relevant heading into the late game, and that Bone Rush E-Speed combination, which has served so many of the top players in this region so well throughout the years. They couldn't get a handle on him, Oman Boozloo. If you think that they would, with a Trevenant and with a Mime and with a Buzzwole, but Zika picked his battles beautifully. Far better, I would say, than on the Absol in game number 1.
Yeah, honestly, and he was playing well on the Absol. Let's not try to take away from the play on the Absol, but here, those points don't really give enough credit for how much Zika was doing for the team. Just how much of a threat this Lucario was and what they were able to do. Like, when we get to take a look at these replays, we'll see a lot of the plays because honestly, it was Zika on Lucario setting up so the Feraligatr could then follow up afterwards and confirm a lot of these knockouts or the points.
I think generally speaking as well, Electro Drifters as a team picked their battles better too. We saw there, for example, prioritizing Nachos, knowing full well that they're giving up the Regieleki, most likely the T1 zone. Here, finding a good steal via that Suicune, another really strong sleeper pick. Traffy having another good game, by the way. Let's not take anything away from him. This Decidueye Spirit Shackle was an absolute menace to anything that dared enter their range. But we see that for Alligator, of course, with that Unite move, able to travel right through anything really outside of the Mime Wall, straight to that back line, and that does force Traffy to back up, allows the rest of the team to move forward. Just a great draft overall for Electro Drifters, using that first pick to great effect.
I really like this draft from Electro Drifters. Very clear identity of what the composition wanted to do. Great zone control when it came to a lot of these fights, and they utilized that. But I will say for Oman Boozloo, Traffy again playing amazingly on this Decidueye. It's a little unfortunate, you know, they don't end up getting the win for it with how many great snipes there were, but that's the story and the life of an ADC.
So you see there, Seiran going right after Trappy, but then activates the Unite move. Knock up on 3. Look at the damage slicing. Taking down 1, taking down the second, leaving just Guitar on their own. It's this 30 score at the end. Just enough points, just enough of a window as Guitar utilizes the Phantom Forest. An auto attack would have been the better choice, but in the moment, Magical, you can't blame Qatar for wanting to try and get both. And yeah, it's fine margins, but it means we get a game 3. Very exciting.
Because, see, that's just the thing. You go for the auto, right? But that doesn't mean that right next to them, the 50 doesn't get
50 doesn't
dunked
go in. Exactly.
It was such an impossible choice there. There was no right decision. It was just a win for Electro Drifters. That's all it was. They did a great job. They earned that victory. And now we got to get ready for game 3 and see what is left for these teams. What do they still have? Cinderace was something you were talking about for Traffy. They didn't play it last game. Still wide open for game 3.
Maybe with foresight to a potential game 3. I will say too, Electro Drifters, I mentioned there in the final minute, there is a thought, why don't we send someone top path? This is something that I think a lot of players on the ranked ladder kind of misjudge when you're thinking, okay, we've got to try and score some last ditch points to steal the game away from our opponents. It is far better to have all 5 of you in the bucket so that all of your powers are combined, because the moment that you send one to the top path, that's 5 versus 4. It could lead to a complete collapse of the offensive line.
Whoa!
Interesting bans from Omon Buzaloof out of nowhere. Mega Charizard Y and Skeledirge. Hello?
It's them trying to leave open defenders. They were the ones banning many of them beforehand. So now Snorlax left open. Got to be an Umbreon immediately here for Qatar with that Cinderace. Oh no, the Psyduck got left through too. Yeah,
so I mean, Prof must really love his Snorlax, with the Psyduck and the Umbreon available, clearly thinking that those 2 options are going to be covered off down the line. I like Clefable as a fill-in for that Umbreon. Oh my word, bringing a Garchomp. No, never mind, we're leaving our frontline support to the last pick. DJ with the Inteleon, denying me fill it should be mentioned, so that's a direct license steal. Nacho's on the Quaquaval. Mephil's going to rotate onto the Miraidon. I do like that, but Seiran on this Garchomp. Big dive threat. Shields don't matter.
Late game comp right now for Electro Drifters. They are going to be a very solid and strong team later into the game. And with an Urshifu and a Vaporeon, they have really good front line, a really good engage. But it is going to round out the comp and the draft here for Omon Buzaloof with that Cinderace.
Does Nachos go central area over Traffy? I don't think so, but I don't like that duck with fabulous hair in early lane. I mean, they've got a Psyduck. Miraidon's pretty good coverage early lane. Of course, Qatar will get that Umbreon level 4. There's hyperscaling for the Electro Drifters to do, but I don't think it's going to be either of the hyperscalers to go central. I mean, they sent Zika central both times and against the grain, really, with that Lucario pick. So one has to imagine that it's going to be the Shifu that is going to be appearing on top path, and not a Gabite or a Sobble, or sorry, a Drizzile. There we go.
Yeah, now I'm curious to see which form we're going to get from the Urshifu, the Rapid Strike or the Single Strike. So that's another thing that's going to really determine what we'll see in this game, because I really like the late game scaling right now from Electro Drifters. They are very strong, very formidable team later into the game. But that being said, it also means they're vulnerable early in the game. Like, Gible isn't going to be terrible early on, but there are great ways you can punish it if you are Omon Buzaloof.
Electro Drifters, your purple side. Omon Buzaloof, your orange side. Here's my prediction for you, Magical. Very similar play styles between E-Speed Luca and Rapid Strike Urshifu. I think that Traffy Cinderace is once again, or just Traffy in general, is your number 1 enemy. The target is on their back.
Agreed.
And that Rapid Strike Urshifu is another great option to run through enemy lines and get to that ADC lickety-split.
I couldn't agree with you more there, Relic. I look at that and I see the big target on the back of that Cinderace. Say, you are the one I want to get rid of the most. You could make an argument for Mephil on that Miraidon, but your biggest target, the biggest fear, is going to be what Cinderace can do. I like there, though, we just seen the central path the chase away from Psyduck, getting rid of that poor Kaboo, making it really difficult for him to find anything.
Ooh.
And then, Nachos using Quaxley to make sure they get a nice knockout.
See, this is the thing, is that I completely neglected the fact that it is Nachos that we are speaking about, and that means that they're going to be good early game. Anyway, I do like that Zika, by the way, just left that final buff to the Psyduck. You're almost certain to guarantee that Urshifu evolution if you go top path anyway, which they have. Very low scores, though, in the first 90 seconds here. 6-0, but Electro Drifters lead.
Yeah, and I'm expecting to see pretty much what we're seeing right now. A good amount of control by Oman Boosaloo. The Quaxwell with the double ducked top path right now. They're getting a bunch of points dunked in for themselves over and over again. And it's going to be difficult for Electro Drifters until they get that evolution, they get that Vaporeon, and until they get out of the Drizzile stage and then to Inteleon.
Yeah, it's a quacking combination, that, isn't it? And they're properly bullying Seiran. I think they've recognized the majesty of Seiran on that for Alligator, and they're basically limiting them as much as possible. This Gabite is going to be late to the party. This Garchomp is going to need to prioritize a lot of the yellow dots that'll be incoming in the next 2 minutes.
And I'm looking at how we're getting these movements so far. I see a Psyduck about to move into the bottom half, but he's been found out. That damage, wow! Just absolutely melting him as Mbok ate up all the damage from Urshifu, then threw it right back with the rest of the team. And it is Oman Boosaloo dunking more points, this time bot path.
Traffy must have been at the absolute limit of Blaze Kick's range. They do find a KO back the other way here, Prof Mush, but Traffy, it's one of the highest damage per seconds that you will find in Pokemon Unite this Cinderace, and they're already level 9.
And already at level 9 with the Quaquaval as well. 2 of them already hitting some spikes and looking really dominant. And there's not really much you can do if you are Electro Drifters. I'm looking at what they have. It's still a Gibble. They haven't even got the Gabite just yet. So they have to get this evolution. They've got to start getting XP into the right pockets. Otherwise, they're never going to get to that late game scaling that they have drafted for.
Yeah, it's a really dangerous moment. I'm glad that you've pointed it out, really, because you can see there's a lot of catch-up EXP already for Seiran on this Gabite, but no yellow dots really to look at. Oh, great Psychic from Mbok just to delay Seiran there and utilizing that Aqua Ring. I think that's no surprise here for 8C Kyo. Interesting to see what the other move that they've gone with. I'd imagine it'd be Hydro Pump, but no rest for the wicked here, Magical, as Traffy goes after the Regieleki. That'll be uncontested.
For a second there, Seiran was like, I can do it. And then it's like, wait a minute. No, I can't. I'm getting soloed out by the Psyduck. I'm only level 6. It is not looking too good right now for Electro Drifters. While Oman Boosaloo doing a great job of getting control.
Gabite's level 6. Gabite is level 6. And in that central area, Inteleon caught out big time. It is a really, really scary look now for both teams. Ominous for Oman Boosaloo. They're absolutely feeling it in game number 3.
Yeah,
Electro Drifters, this is a tall mountain to climb already.
And right now, Oman Boosaloo are playing like that champion style that we have seen from them many a times here in game 3. It is up to Electro Drifters to start putting on the heat and starting to get something. They got a lot of damage on the Qatar, but missing that snipe shot. Might have been able to at least follow up a kill if they could have gotten it, but I don't know if they're at that strength just yet to be able to get these knockouts.
Nacho's providing vision on absolutely nobody. Finally realizes, oh wait, nobody's here. I think they're going to get caught out here. Zika's going to get there in the nick of time, denies the 40 score.
Denying that one and having a possible fight going back and forth between the two. It looks like the Quaquaval will get out of there. Oh, it was only a level 11 Urshifu. Would have been nice to get that catch-up XP if they could have gotten the solo knockout onto them.
Great zoning yet again from Oman Boosaloo. Registeel in pocket. Now Nachos does have that opportunity to go and score the 40. 141 point lead overall. We're getting into dangerous territory, like realistically, mathematically speaking, for Electro Drifters. 100 to 150 once you get to the final stretch. That's okay. 200 plus, and you might not have enough points to overturn the deficit.
And you still have 2 Pokemon at level 8 right now for Electro Drifters. Finally, they've got the Garchomp. It's taken so long for them to get that evolution. And look at everyone on Oman Buzloof being double digits outside of Umbreon.
The difference here, though, we saw with TTAR, they were in a very similar situation earlier on. Great steal from DJ on the Regieleki. Fantastic steal. Not going to be able to steal away the Regieleki, though. But Electro Drifters aren't giving away free EXP to Oman Buzloof. In fact, this is as far up as they've actually traveled. And even then, it's just Sikyo who's caught out slightly. They've got enough of a health bar to survive that.
Livid Rampage has been popped, and even under your own pad where you thought you had safety, there was no safety when you were getting dove by 2, but we go into the bot path, and we see the Sai helping get that knockout on the Vaporeon. The snipe shots barely missing, as now Urshifu, Zika doing a lot to try to get the damage, went back towards Mbok, will take down the Duck and looked for Guitar, but look at that damage that was dealt by Mephil, taking down Urshifu, throwing it back now that Trappy's here. It is a double knockup from the Heavy Slam, trying their best to see if they can drag him back in. But where's the damage for Electro Drifters? They've lost out on anything that can actually pick up these knockouts.
I'm going to give Mephil their flowers. I think they're having a sublime game. Sublime on this Miraidon. Hadron Engine is a really difficult ability to try and engage at the best of times because it kind of just drops and it's hard to keep track of all of those moves that you're using. But to be fair, they're positioning themselves in places where, regardless of when it does drop, they're always going to be in a good position to back up their team, whether defensively or offensively.
And now we are getting to that point that you were talking about where it's the more than 200 and it is feeling out of control for Electro Drifters. We have yet to even get to our final stretch and it is already looking dominant out of Oman Buzloof in Game 3. Really upset about that loss in Game 2.
Level 15 Cinderace. They might be cooked in Magical, not gonna lie. A pretty, as the kids would say, a pretty chopped look for Electro Drifters.
And they've got to hope for a miracle as they got a Heavy Slam, block put up, damage onto Qatar.
Oh my word.
Your Snorlax was nearly taken out, and they drag back in your other defender. Vaporeon forced to use everything to try to see if they can get out of there, as more damage is getting rained back onto Qatar. But Oman Buzloof don't need to do anything. They have the lead. They don't have to fight. They just need to make sure that they don't get the Groudon.
Got that reset on the Snorlax, who's already losing health. Look at this. Traffy's gone after him. Traffy solos the Snorlax. Unbelievable.
Just absolutely melting what should be.
Oh, they got them though
easily. And now Urshifu getting the knockout onto Traffy.
Hold up.
Trying to chase down under
Oh
Mephil.
no.
Mephel's been able to get away. And now they're raining down meteors. Livid Rampage a little bit too late. Not enough damage as they've noticed this Inteleon on the wrong side of the map. Trying their best to Gatling gun and get out of there using the grappling hooks everywhere as they have the Snorlax, but the Snorlax too late to defend them. And now just looking at the ruins and saying, what happened to my team?
Yeah. Many movies that this Inteleon has to watch, a lot of Spider-Men. Unfortunately, he selected No Way Home.
And there is no way home in this one. Not even in any of the multiverses is there going to be. As it is going to be Oman Buzloof to take this third game and take the series.
Yeah, really strong look. I mean, look, it's been coming. It's been built up over the last 9 minutes or so. Seiran trying to go for the heroic rip. Absolutely not. Lazy Bicycle Kick. It's the Psyduck at the end of the day who secures for Groudon.
Just secures that. Seiran was really hoping they continued to push forward, could sneak that away, maybe get some points, but all in all, Oman Buzloof, they're dominating in Game 3 and making sure that even though they did fall in Game 2, they learned from those mistakes and pick up the series.
Mid-table? What even is mid-table Magical? The rich get richer. Those on 2 and 1 have both extended their gap to 3. Actually, no, my apologies. Oh, actually, no. I'm gonna not apologize because I was correct in the first place. I was getting confused with some earlier shenanigans. I will apologize for that. But both teams on 2 and 1, now on 3 and 1. Nasty Family are the only team left that could potentially try and get some sort of a bridge between bottom of the table and top of the table. Electro Drifters are going to be happy that they at least got a game out of this series. That, of course, is going to help their overall game differential. The top 6 qualify for the playoffs, and so Electro Drifters, despite staying in 6th as it stands, every game will surely help.
Every game for those teams that are at the bottom is going to help them out. Make sure that they're getting a little bit closer. But I'm looking at a lot of these teams and looking at like how
21,000 for Seiran on the Garchomp is miserable.
Oh yeah, I was trying to not focus that.
I'm hurting.
And Seiran did not get a play.
Someone call the
Garchomp
hospital
in that game.
I need an ambulance, and I do need it for me, please. That is painful.
I mean, let's not compare it either to TTAR or Mbok and see how much damage they did as... But, moving into how this game went, it was a dominant performance out of Oman Buzlu pretty much throughout the entirety of it.
Yeah, I mean, look, as much as we can look at Electro Drifters and say if, but, how, and when... Oman Buzaloof just did everything better. These are the reigning champions for a reason. They showed up. They provided really compelling rotations. As it turns out, Nacho's on the Quaquavel. We had no reason to fear. Absolutely fantastic. Dropping a clean 90k. Of course, Traffy on one of his Season 1 Pokemon Unite aces. Of course, he's going to do well. Level 15 before the final stretch even began. It goes to demonstrate the overall team domination that was on display. Also, really inspired choices. I think that Mifil on the Miraidon was fantastic. Opting for foul play. Umbreon really discombobulated a lot of those Electro Drifters looks where they were forced into a fight against their will. Psychic Psyduck on top of that too. Just basically making Electro Drifters really uncomfortable. Excellent, excellent team play. Should we expect any less though?
No. And honestly, we should expect them to continue to play at this level, really look at how they're going to start moving up in the standings as opposed to just kind of staying in the middle. This is a team that wants to be champions yet again. They want them back to back. So the fact that they've lost a series already, for them, that's enough fuel in the tank to say, no, never again.
Right, Magical is going to have a break. He's going to try and transform his Sahara Desert of a throat into the Pacific Ocean. I'm just going to chill. Hope you guys are as well, but don't go too far because after this, more EUL on the way. Hey guys, we might have a team, we might not have a team, but it's the EUL, right? And we wanted to make sure that y'all had content, right? Content makes the world go around. Everybody knows this. I'm chilling, right? I'm just on my phone. Magical, though, has got a yearning. He has a lust, and that lust is for opening Pokemon card packets. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. He's going to open Pokemon cards for your pleasure, and hopefully we get a hit.
Let us hope that we get a hit. It is a booster bundle. It's the new, well, newish one, the Pitch Black. So let's
Pitch
see, Mega
Black.
Evolution. So let's see how this goes. Get that open. Lovely plastic everywhere. And now, I think it comes 6 packs.
The full unboxing experience.
Let's drop one. There we go. So we have our 6 here. Bam.
Oh, very nice. And how
Very,
many
very
cards
nice.
per pack, say ye?
The thing says 10.
10. And that's double the amount you get in pocket. Feels like a good deal to me.
Let's see. Let's see what we get here. First pack. Come on. Let's see if we can get any luck. First pack magic.
First pack magic. Primeape. Picky Peck. Poltergeist. Scent Scorch. Vikavolt. Sea King. Jet. Who is she? Shiny Mankey. Well, not Shiny Mankey, but the card is shiny. It's foil. Foil. Oh, that's what it is. Foil Jet. There you go.
And nada. Okay, that was the
Not
first
a
one.
hit. Not a hit.
Not a hit in the first one. It's okay. It's okay. We have 5 more chances.
There we go. Cranidos. Or Cranidos, sorry. There's no A in there. Volibee. Litwick, one of the cutest little beans. Goldeen. You can evolve
Hey, there
that
we
from
go.
the Sea King. There you go. Toucannon, objectively one of the best birds.
Mm-hmm.
Bronzong. Slowbro.
Nice, nice.
Foil Finizen. Foil Poplio. Love to see it.
Nada. All right.
Hate to see it. Hate to see it, folks.
Still have more chances. Oh, I'm gonna move.
We've got 4 more chances.
Okay. Gotta hold it easier way.
If I might say, sharp haircut, good sir. I need one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My wife did that.
Goated wife, by the way.
Yeah, I know, right?
Skarmory. Double fossil. Into the ground.
Yeah.
Electrike. Annihilate. One of the coolest evolutions they've done. by the way.
Right. So good.
Gwyn, the Chandelier Lady. Oh, you can evolve that Finizen into Palafin.
Yeah.
Type Null foil. Inkay foil.
Oh, hey,
hey!
finally. Look at that. There
Mega
we go.
Delphox EX.
That's worth putting in a sleeve. That's a nice one. So, hey, we didn't come out with nothing.
We have a powerful card. We have a card that you can build a deck around.
Exactly. Something. All right. 3 more.
It'd be useful if we get the Fennekin and the
Oh, God.
and the what's the middle one?
I'm trying to remember
Braixen.
the middle 2. Yeah,
Braixen.
there you go.
Maschief. There's that Picky Peck again.
Again.
Electrike
again.
Starting a deck build here. Backtrack Badge. Foil
Evil.
Feeble.
Oh, and we had...
Oh, no, Heatran.
Heatran,
Oh, that wasn't a foil, by the way. Now we're into the foils. Dark Bell. Nice foil Skarmory. Clean card.
Ah,
And Savali, so
hey.
you can evolve
Yeah.
that foil type null that you got earlier.
exactly. So we just keep it shiny the whole way.
Yeah. And the cool thing with colorless Pokemon is that they work with any energy.
Mm-hmm. Which is very nice.
As opposed to me, I run exclusively on beef.
Hey, Drumbeak. Now we just need one more. We can. Oh no, we have the Pecky Peck. So we can.
You got the
we
Picky
can
Peck
get a...
and 2 cannon, yeah.
Yes, we do.
Oh, and there's your Center Scorch pre-Evo as well. There's your Bronzong
And
pre-Evo.
Bronzor.
It's working
There you
out,
go.
this.
There we
Gladion's
are.
final battle has got to be Sil Valley related, right?
Yeah,
Sinis.
definitely.
Oh, that's Poltergeist related. Excellent.
Yeah,
Malamar
so
evolves
there
from
we go.
Inkay. We're getting like so many different Pokemon
Hey!
Evos. A foil Savali, nice.
Nice.
Foil Bennett, so one of Zoinks' favorite cards. And Primarina. We got that foil Poplio earlier, so we're
We just
looking
need one
for
more.
the weird middle one.
Yeah.
Brione.
Yeah.
Or
Brion.
Brione.
I think it's Brione. Right?
It's spelled Brione.
Yeah. All right. Last pack. Let's see. Let's see if we can get
Last
anything in
pack.
this.
Jinx.
Well,
The big whale.
I actually like that one.
Um,
It's the crocheted one too.
I love those like physical art cards.
Yeah,
always,
me too.
Always. Misty's Vitality.
Lampent.
Lampent. Fossil Chorus. You got a stadium you can throw in there. Oh,
Yeah,
Charcadet.
let's see. A last chance for
And that's
anything
a
like
foil
super
as well.
good. Ah,
Foil.
Let's see.
It's foil Sinisha, right?
yep. Our last one. Oh, hey!
Oh, hey! We got a hit!
something. We got something.
Iron Defender. It's
We did not
It's a tool.
completely strike out. Perfect.
full art foil.
Nice. Actually, that's a really nice one, too. Here we go. Put it into its sleeve.
We got a hit. Clappies in chat, folks. Clappies in
So
chat.
we got these two. So we didn't get completely smoked out by it.
And we got a number of Pokemon that can evolve from other Pokemon.
Exactly.
We are missing a Braixen and a Fennekin, but it's okay.
Probably
You
have
can
one
use
around
cards
here.
from previous sets. Gosh, can you use cards from previous sets?
I think it depends on the form, the tournament you play in. But hey, not terrible.
It's a tough
Not
one.
not
Tough
the
one.
worst. So there we go. We got some stuff.
We got some stuff. is that the magical content section?
Yes, that is.
That's all. That we've done it, folks. That's all we've got. I think we should probably take the lack of movement from our wonderful producer to suggest that whatever the situation was that was preventing the two teams that were upcoming to play together, sounds like they're still having issues to play together. So what I imagine is going to happen, folks, is that we're going to take another break now, bit of an extended one, 20 minutes or so, and then we should be into our final series of the day. That series should be top of the table, Rework Esport Core going up against the Nasty Family. And if they were to win that, by the way, they would be the only team to close the gap on the top four. So pretty important series coming up for the overall look of the league. You're not going to want to miss it. After this, see you soon. Oh, yeah, that's right. We're back and way earlier than expected, mostly because of the goated players that have rushed in, ready to give us more content here on the EUL. I'm Relic. I'm joined by Magical, and it's our final series of the day. Top of the table, Rework Esport Core going up against the Nasty family.
And let's see if the Nasty family can break the streak for Rework and take them down and make sure that they're not gonna be one of the teams undefeated anymore. Right now, Rework Esports Core, they have yet to drop even a single game. That is how much they have been dominating this season so far.
They are incredibly well worth their value as well, not just picking up those three series wins, but picking up those 3 series wins without dropping a single game. Now, looking at the opponents, Magical, Electro Drifters, TTAR, and Power Rangers. That is our current bottom 3. Funnily enough, Nasty Family still within the bottom 4, but it represents, as we go further into the league, the toughest challenge for Rework Esport Core yet. Lots of storied names on this roster, the likes of Nyat and Sixies. You got Ghatlue Gunner, of course, Coach Christo coming in, Ramoa. This is a really good outfit, who themselves have had kind of shenanigans abound. They're currently 1-2 because they had to forfeit their game, or their series, I should say. Wow, I am really saturated out. I'm glowing with anticipation for this final series. So yes, I think that the record is a little bit, uncertain, let's say. I mean, that forfeited series was against Oman Buzaluf, and we know how strong they are, so maybe they would have been on 1 or 2 in any case. But to draft, Magical, to draft.
The draft, and we see Umbreon again onto the bench for Alligator, gonna be joining them, as well as possibly that Psyduck. Not too many things getting shaken up so far. Probably see, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Yveltal or another one of our defenders or frontliners getting taken off of the board, because we've seen so much that players and teams just want to get rid of the defenders, make it a lot more difficult for their opposition to find something comfortable.
There are so many Pokemon in Pokemon Unite, though, that even these... It kind of feels like these 6 bans aren't enough. And now... this is with the caveat that, of course, we are running all-star draft, and so in best of 5s, that can get kind of crazy. But an interesting final ban here for Rework Esport Core, taking away that Espeon that is fancied by Sixies and Naiad. The final ban for Nasty Family, the Crustler taken off the table.
Crustler gone, and we have things like Zapdos left open, have Typhlosion, Yveltal. I still see a lot of our defenders like Blastoise getting through as well. There's a lot of options, Mew, Greninja. I'm curious to see how the teams are going to approach this with Rework to grab that Yveltal, and for Nasty Family, they're going to go with things that are more tried and true, the Hoopa and the Zacian.
Yeah, early game focus so far, with that Yveltal leading the way. It does suggest the Rework Esport Core won't be too interested in going for the Typhlosion, although Yveltal is also pretty good at regen, and so for that pop-off potential late game, could be worth considering. But it seems like they are focusing on that early game and frontline still. Jean-Mi on their Ace of the Elder Goss. You will be taking the Trevenant.
I like that core so far for the Rework Esports Core, but Skeleturge going to be making their way onto the Sky Ruins for Nasty Family. And if it's a Blastoise, I'm really liking what Nasty Family have drafted for themselves.
Yeah, it's really strong, especially late game now with those 2 hyperscalers. You've got to be feeling confident, good options for late game with that Hoopa Unite move. Rework Esport Core, then lots of thinking to do. Oh, revenge on the Aegis Slash, please. Please don't tease me like that. You know I love Aegis Slash. But they will be going to Cinderace instead, and they're going for a Machamp for the first time on stage today.
I do like me some Machamp. It's very straightforward. Run at you, grab you, seismic toss, slam. But I love seeing that, especially against things that are going to struggle to get away. But looks like right now, Nasty Family, they have themselves a nice speedster. In that Talonflame, they've got amazing range and scaling for the later parts of the game. And if you look at Rework Esports Core, it is about how can they break up the core that's on Nasty Family? How do they stop the Blastoise and Zacian from being walls that stop them from getting onto that Skeleturge?
Not entirely sure if the Talonflame is the pick here. Cinderace is pretty tricksy. If you go dive into the Machamp, it can save its submission for you. And I think the Yveltal's got enough of a health bar to be able to shrug it off as long as it's able to stick near allies in lane. I mean, again, a lot is saying, well, this is it on paper and this is everyone scaling at the same rate. If Naiad has an unbelievable early game and is like level 10 by like 5 minutes or something, then we're talking about it doesn't matter territory. But that is where the risk lays ultimately.
Yeah, and this is one of those things. We were talking earlier about teams playing more comfort as opposed to just meta, and I'm hoping it's just one of those situations here for Nasty Family. That this is a comfort pick. You're picking this one because you're so confident on how you can play the Talonflame. Doesn't matter the matchup, and you want to get that early win. So if that's the case, more power to them on how they're going to be able to play this in game 1.
Well, it's Rework Esport Core, your league leaders in the purple. Nasty Family taking TTAR Sky Ruins in the orange. Our final best of 3 of the night begins here.
We have both what we expected in the central path, Score Bunny, and that little fletchling going after one another and just going to get a little bit of farm early on. I'm looking to see if there's going to be any movements like we've seen many players do, where they try to go for an early invade and try to see if they can disrupt things that need to get these evolutions and need to scale up into the game. I'm not seeing that from either side.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. I think both of these teams with enough respect for each other that they're not going to try and throw away EXP or waste anybody's time. It does suit both of these ADCs that they get up to their high, to their stage 2 as early as possible, given that we have some significant moves like your Blaze Kick or your Brave Bird that can be real backbreakers when it comes to these early team fights.
We do see the first movement from one of our central paths, and it's going to be in the
Nice
bot
pick.
path. Nice pick. We were able to at least get that Phantup on the way out, but there's a lot of points still dunked in by Rework to make sure they got something. But now with the Flitchender into the bot path, they nearly were able to take down Revenge, but the throwback, these kicks doing so much. We need one more, but the shields will save the life of Hoopa.
Yeah, funnily enough, that was actually Gunnar putting the trick shield onto the Freight Coco that gives them the shield, that gives them the ability to get away. Unfortunately there for Nayat, not having access to Brave Bird or Fly, it was just acrobatics, which really doesn't do as much damage as you would hope, especially onto that chunky Yvettal.
Yeah, honestly, Yvettal is one of those ones. It's kind of a weird scenario where you look at that damage. You see all that damage, you're like, man, that's a lot. But you also then think, because there's a lot of damage, it's going to be a lot easier of a target, and that's just not the case.
No, this is a great rotate here from Revenge, and they're going to catch out Ghatlue. They're going to know they're not, because again, within range, Christo offering that trick shield to get back to base. Here comes the flight.
Looking for it, but decides not to commit. Thought for a second as well, but looks like both teams giving respect where respect is due and just going to go back to farm.
Yeah, got Reggie Alecki. It's not Reggie Alecki. My apologies. Reggie Drago next on the table. You can see both teams sizing this up. Already down to half health, looking for the fly steal. This should be Nayats. No, it's not. Underneath their nose, or I guess their beak, it's Revenge who takes the Reggie Drago. 4 in central. They chase Gunner away. Forced to pop the X speed, but this could be damaging on the T1. No, Christo's there. Should be able to provide enough defense to stop major scores going in. There's a 20 though.
Getting 20, and now they've got Christo already focused
Christo.
away with that Horn Leech. Has to eject button, try to get away. Chase down back into the flux zone, but more points going to be dunked in by Rework Esports Core. And right now it feels like these are just small things that are starting to add up over and over and over again to give these little leads over to Rework.
Yeah, it's not how I would have played it, is the best way that I would put this. You see Nayat, who goes back to the Pokemon Center, has that option to go top path or bottom path. They choose bottom path, and it has rolled into not just, of course, that Reggie Rock, but they've actually taken the first zone of the game. It does mean that points have been scored in that top path, but critically magical, their zone hasn't been cracked. Now Nayat on top path, finding the KOs and KO contributions. Here's the second. Can they find the third? No, they're going to disengage.
Hey, getting the 2 is still going to be big. I like that movement afterwards. Rework, we're the ones kind of getting the leads, slowly adding them up, but then the bot path play adding up for Nasty Family. Unfortunately, though, does seem that there's a bit of a trade 1-for-1. Almost seemed like Nasty Family overextended. I thought that Rework would continue and try to have that Yveltal get the knockout onto Skeleturge too. We're going to go top path this time. Was able to just slam right into the wall, but still was able to get the knockout. And they're going to continue that one on Jean-Mi with 2 KOs for the Talonflame.
You see Christo there stop, like, saying, what we're going to do here, boss? And the answer is they're going to score a couple more, and then they're going to disengage. Nasty Family playing it safe. 17-point lead as we head towards halftime.
Man, it's a nice lead, at least giving them something in this game, especially for a composition that has great scaling options. Not feeling too bad right now if you're a Nasty Family.
Oh my word.
With a pick like that, it's going to start adding up. To me, Rework are the team that are just adding up these small little victories over and over again that you're going to start having to worry about if you're Nasty Family.
Yeah, if Hooper was a Meowth, they would have wasted 8 of their 9 lives. That was the 9th. Finally getting KO'd by Rework Esport Core. Got to feel good for them. Big send, though, on this top path here. All 5 for the purple team, ready to go for Reggie Alecki.
And that surf into the wall, trying to see if they can lock him down. And with a Hydro Typhoon getting a huge knock up, big value, as now into the back line. Knight wasn't able to get the knockouts.
Oh no!
Instead, they turned it back on Zacian. They overcommitted.
Oh no!
Submission taking down more, as it's going to be Rework taking advantage. There was 2 knockouts over to Yveltal, and now Gunnar is right behind them with the hoops unbound. Will take the Regieleki.
Callum the Gunner is inside Rework Esport Core's head, and they're living there rent-free. Oh, that Regieleki just about stopped from hitting zone. Blazing bicycle kick. Christo, meanwhile, cleaning up all of these wild Pokemon. Now going in with the boosted Eos Energy. Phantom Forest down.
Phantom Forest, and same with the Woodhammer, but the main target, that Regieleki, has been denied, crashing into the pad. They've chased away successfully Nasty Family.
Oh, going after revenge. This is bold from Christo. There goes the submission from Clem into the fly. Oh, brilliant use of feint. Completely denies the fly damage.
Wow, so well done from Revenge to deny that and still be up in this fight. That allows them to turn it back, take down the Blastoise, and now with all 5 here, they're pushing top pad. They might not get the Registeel that has been taken by the Skeletors. The Skeletors has to get a nice shot from downtown if they want to be able to help out, as we see barely Christo getting away, trying everything possible. Well, Dunk 5, because why not? Does get knocked down, but with the Surf back,
oh, nice!
They got the the wall. And now the Flame Sweep, unfortunately, into the wall again. And then you push back, but it's Skeletor who's finally showed up. Submission from Machamp helps take them down as they got Machamp down. Skeletor surviving. Same with Naiad.
Name a more iconic duo. Flame Sweep into wall. Nasty Family still hold on to a slender lead, but Nasty Family feeling this top path push now.
Making sure they get the knockout onto Eldegoss as we have.
Oh, they got the 46!
Dragging him back in, but it's going to be down to 22. They haven't been able to get it just yet.
Oh, my word.
In the Flux Zone, they got rid of Hoopa and Blastoise.
But now on defense, this is going to be a big pushback from Rework Esport Core. Unfortunately, Revenge has eaten a lot of damage, but that doesn't matter because now all eyes are on this top Regieleki. They're going to be able to get this one. That's going to be a free hit onto zone.
It goes so fast, too. Look at that. They melt through the health bar. We'll be able to push that back. And
oh, they're going to leave it.
Yeah, they're just going to let it dunk in, take out the pad itself, and now maybe they can get something back afterwards.
Yeah, but check out, they've done a lot of damage on bottom path there. Huge overdunk. Phantom Forest, wow. They're going to take the fight now, Magical.
And they're going to use the Hydro Typhoon. Here's a Flame
Oh,
Whip.
a miss.
Not again! Not again into the wall. At least they got the knockout onto Machamp this time round. And right
they go for
at
the
the
rip.
moment, they're on the rip. They see that Kyogre is on the map.
Here goes Revenge.
They got to get it quickly. But it's down to 25. But are they going to secure it? They got to be careful. Zacian does get it. Nasty Family have secured themselves the objective and forced away Rework Esports Core. Their first loss imminent in this game.
Great call, Nasty Family. They called the meeting in the kitchen and they got cooking. They saw that the tree was down. The crowd control machine that is Trevenant could have no effect on that fight. Yes, there's a very scary moment there. The Yveltal Unite move potentially. The Cinderace Unite move potentially. But they timed it magnificently. Naiad waiting on the fly. We got Christo with the Sovereign Sword. You've got Skeledirge in there as well, let alone the stuns of the Hooper. Played it beautifully, Nasty Family, but there's still a minute left, and they are lacking human resources.
Minute left, and the fact that you have some of these pads out of the base.
Oh,
they
this
can
is
get
close.
Big dunks here.
This is close.
Within 25 points. They've got to defend this. I see there's a Talonflame, not with the team. You got to be cautious on how you want to approach this one. 40 seconds are left on the clock, and they're trying to see if they can get the knockout. They've got themselves a lockdown on a Skeletor. They've gotten rid of the singer, and without a lead singer in the band, do they have enough to actually find the fight to win? They pushed him back so far. The Zacian's getting so much damage onto Yveltal, but he's healing up. Finally, they got rid of him. John Me, the next target, but the tree tries to go back, looking for any desperate points for the team, getting only 4, and now showing up a little bit too late. Nasty Family have defended their base. Nasty Family have defended this game. They will take the first victory over Rework Esports Core this series.
Well. Not just the first victory over Rework Esport Core this series, Magical. The first victory over Rework Esport Core this season. That is a massive statement of intent from Nasty Family. I was really worried about this Talonflame pick. Nayat again. Oh, little faith I had in you when I should have been at the church preaching. A fantastic performance. Great calls as well on the back caps, by the way, Magical, just to make sure the Rework Esport Core were going to be punished for their full send. Kind of scary there at the end, honestly, managing to get the Hundo Burger in to close the gap to, what was it, 25 points?
Yep.
But again, the defense handled magnificently. Ghatlue gonna standout performance on the Hooper. Christo, some really great shot calling, I imagine, on that Zacian. And of course, worth mentioning Christo again for the very fact of securing the Ray. Oh, not the Ray, my apologies. The
Kyogre. Hey, you know, they got themselves the objective, and I was a little worried for a minute because they got the Kyogre. They were looking to dunk those points, and then they had some some difficult fights around the pads, and they started losing players. And I thought that was the moment that Rework Esports Core, they were going to push back. They were going to get the points that they needed to take a narrow victory and not have their first loss of the season. But Nasty Family, they defended valiantly at that bot pad, made sure that they held on to that 25-point lead. And then after they got some of the knockouts, like you said, they sent them over to other pads just to secure some more points just in case.
Rework Esport Core, they lost the right to lead the tango when you got caught out of position on that tree. And they were forced into the Phantom Forest because I think they kind of knew the domino effect that was incoming if they didn't call the fight. And so clearly they called, hey, I need help up here. I'm going to land the Phantom Forest. And they did. I think they caught 2 or 3 in that Unite move, which is a pretty good innings, all things considered. But the rest of the team was still farming to make sure that they either had they maxed out their level potential for the final stretch, or they were trying to make sure that they got their Unite moves in the first place. So really difficult position for Rework Esport Core to be in, and great call from Nasty Family to say, hey, 5v4, we got this.
And getting themselves a big victory. Got to feel so proud of themselves for finding the first victory over Rework Esports Core that they have had in this season. And now it means that they are 1 game away from getting their first series win over Rework Esports Core, which would be huge for this team that's down in the bottom of the standings at the moment. But if they are able to pick this one up, stay at a nice even 50-50, that means they're ever so closer to moving up in the standings and making up the difference from that forfeit they had earlier in the season.
Just Nayat to come in and take away any form of praise from his teammate. Hey, Christo ain't shot calling. Hey, you know what? I appreciate the confirmation that Christo is sort of laying back on his laurels here and not worrying about the coaching. To be fair, who needs to shot call when you're able to get the slice in like this? They had the boosted, but then they go in with the Sovereign Sword. You see they go in with the Metal Claw second time. We've got the Talonflame who's going to go up into the air momentarily with the fly. Here goes the Blazing Bicycle Kick. Way too early. You got the beam. To be fair to you, got back in there as quickly as they could.
Yes.
But too much ripability for Nasty Family.
Yeah, a little bit too quick. Like you said, the bicycle kick as well. If that was held on a little bit more, I think it would have been much closer and actually could have been the other way. But no, it's the coulda, woulda, shouldas of a game. You look at that and you're like, all right, these are the lessons you learn if you're Rework Esports Core, or these are the victories you celebrate if you're Nasty Family. You take that and go, how do we now approach game 2? Because this is a series. That 1 win does not mean that is over just yet. It was the very first game we've played.
But there is also, I think, an underlying sense of Rework Esport Core have faced the 3 bottom teams, and we're into round 4 of matches. Is this the first quote-unquote real opposition, question mark? Well, I think that's actually very unfair on the other teams that they faced. We've seen great looks from the likes of TTAR, from the likes of Power. I mean, from all three of them, really, they've all had decent showings. And so I think it is more to compliment Rework Esport Core on maximizing their league position up until now. But I think there is certainly, just from pure name value alone, Magical, you're looking at this and you're thinking, this is a proper grassroots, like, heritage team. These are Barclays men, right? These are players who have been around the block multiple times. They also went on a pretty cool, like, student expedition that one time where they came back with some cool fossils and stuff. Like, this is a team that's been there, done that, and smelled the bacon, and been humbled. And you could see that in their performance early on. They were actually quite conservative, weren't they? They weren't taking many risks, and that proved to be a really just smart investment, because it meant that they weren't giving away EXP. Their natural hyperscalers could do the talking later on down the line.
Exactly. And the fact that they're giving respect to Nasty Family shows how much they understand what Nasty Family is truly capable of. This is a team that I think is going to be one of our dark horses in the season, especially if they're able to manage a full series win here against Rework Esports Core.
Well, could you imagine what a win against Rework Esports Core would do just from a Nasty Family perspective? Again, it's top 6, make it into the playoffs. Nasty Family is 2 places away from not making it into the playoffs, and so this would be a critical series win. Even if it needs to take game 3 into account, it would be monumental for how the second half of EUL 2026 is going to pan out. In the short term, though, our bans on the table. The game number 2, Umbreon, Psyduck, Espeon, for Alligator, Snorlax, Blissey. That Typhlosion is open again.
But it feels like both teams at this moment are feeling like that might just be a bait pick, because they get the Sylveon here early for Rework. And Nasty Family, I'm looking at that Mew that they keep going over, and Teleon's another good one. A lot of players kind of forget about, and then once it starts getting back in the meta, they're like, oh yeah, this is really good, isn't it? But they opt instead to grab themselves their front line and support.
Could see Jean-Mi go for the Comfey. We saw the attempted Sylveon Comfey combination earlier on, not utilized to perhaps the greatest effect, although that was more down to how the opponents of that team were playing. You going on to the Lapras really has made a big resurgence, and there's Clem shifting up the order to lock in the Mega Lucario.
Getting themselves a real good damage dealer in that. Really good frontliner, but it's going to be up against a Mimikyu and a Mega Charizard. Why?
Possibility of Sixies to go Mega Charizard X, and I don't think that would necessarily be a bad composition, to be real with you. Jean-Mi hovering potentially supports Suicune here. That we did see used to great effect, and Revenge going on to the Armarouge. This is one of those unique picks that Revenge has over a number of other ADC players. It's not exactly an objective shredder, but it is great at sustain, and it's great at knock up. Sixies instead going for the Decidueye. So we do have that second hyperscaler Magical, but it comes in the form of a long range threat, which, I mean, that's difficult for this Rework Esport Core team to try and break through that front line with.
It is. It
really
there's
is. Not a lot of range on this team.
That's what makes me wonder. I look at Revenge. Which Armarouge are we going to go for? Are we going to go for the Armor Cannon, or are we going to go for the Fire Spin? Do you want to be more about getting that damage from some range, or do you just fully commit to, we don't have very much range, we got to be in the thick of the fight? As Lita as well going to be on that Sylveon, which doesn't have the most range either. So I'm really looking at Rework and saying, if you already know you don't have much range, you might just fully index it. The Suicune and Lapras can be great in controlling a lot of these fights, especially in tight corridors, that can allow you all to get into that close range, so you're never having to deal with the long range Nasty Family have drafted.
Funnily enough, we did see Armor Cannon earlier with Ultima, and it was really cool to see Armor Cannon earlier.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing a Slick Spoon, I'm seeing a Focus Band, and I am seeing a Rocky Helmet. and that tells me Fire Spin, and that tells me that they are looking to try and counter the Mimikyu first and foremost before even thinking about dealing with the Bird Archer on the back line. Rework Esport Core, your purple team, Nasty Family, your orange team, and critically on match point.
Match point up against a team that hadn't dropped a single game up until this weekend. And they were the team that delivered them their first loss. Can they also give them their first series loss at the same time? Right now, looking at Charmander in the central path. Same with a Char Cadet. The Char Cadet's going to be a little bit stronger, faster than the Charmander will be.
Yeah, despite what Pokemon Unite tells you, Charmander really shouldn't be in lane. It requires Burn to make its basic attack tickle. So you really want to get that Mega online, and especially Mega Charizard Y. Fire Blast is unreal with Mega Charizard Y, and of course that Unite move can lead to the wider Fire Blast, which is fantastic for CC.
Yeah, and it is that Fire Spin Armarouge as well. Not too surprised by that one. Christo walking away from the central path after seeing the Armarouge, but Armarouge kind of following him and using that eject button to get forward and try to see if they can get a lot of damage onto that Mimikyu. But all of those gifts from Alcremie making sure that they're going to be perfectly fine.
You want an Alcremie in a heat wave, let me tell you. But all the heat coming from Nasty Family right now. They got that Crustle online. I'm actually interested if Nayat goes with Trick Room, since, of course, Shadow Sneak will be flying straight into the hellhole that is Fire Spin Armarouge. I wouldn't like that. I'm sure that Nayat wouldn't like that either. So maybe Trick Room the way to go.
Honestly, I like that idea as well. I think that's a great call out, too, for the Mimikyu. We'll have to keep an eye. See if exactly that is going to be the build path for Nayat or not. Just give yourself more mobility, really try to see if you can dodge around a lot more and give yourself more that you can do in those tight corridors that are going to be created by rework. As bot path, that Hyper Voice nearly finding the knockout in almost the same way by Sixties, but Sixties overcommitting, allowing Azalito to pick up that knockout.
Tunnel vision at its finest. That is a player who is used to knocking people out and got absolutely stumped by the focus band of the Lapras. Unfortunate. Here comes the Hyper Voice Sylveon. That Mega Charizard Y is online, but still only level 7. Gets the KO onto the Sylveon, though. Alcremie, I think, is going to be picked up as a trade. The Lapras going on the chase. Alcremie, though, manages to find that cooldown on the Dollop. Heals up. But Nasty Family have also now had to give over the Regidrago to REC.
And that's a good pickup by REC, making sure they're getting more on the map as well. So they're getting a lot of damage here on the top path, but maybe overcommitting Revenge. Didn't really realize how much that Fire Blast can do on the ground.
I didn't see Trick Room activated, so I'm presuming that they're going to be sticking with Shadow Sneak. There's not really much of a backline to go for, so it might just be comfort for Nayat on this Mimikyu rather than adapt it, because, well, you can't adapt on the fly anymore, can you? You have to do it in lobby, but...
Oh, it is!
There it is! Okay, right, so I guess they just hadn't used it for whatever reason. Anyway, REC with Regieleki, big attack on top pad, should be a T1 crack.
I'm glad to see that it is the Trick Room as we look at this Regirock really close. Hyper Voice trying to steal it away, but it was a Decidueye that was able to lock that down. And now with a fight onto you, trying to get away, looking for those Spirit Shackles, but Azalito just diving into the back line. Christo's here as well. The X-Scissors doing a lot to keep the Sylveon from going anywhere, and there ain't no home that way. That's not your base.
Oh, man. Fire Blast and Sweet Scent, and also 4 people. There's a Psycho Boom. Catches 2. Huge engage.
Whoa, and then with the Seismic Slam there, trying to see if they can get something back. It is going to be a burn to take down that Armarouge while they're avoiding the Lapras, but Suicune trying to slow them down, trying to see if they can get that Mega Charizard Y, just throwing down more of those Fire Blasts.
Yeah, gotta be careful, Christo. REC are not afraid to go toe-to-toe with you whilst you're Mega Evo'd. Speaking of, Clem gonna calm down from Mega Evolution themselves. They've got a free reign on this top pass. 7 points left on that zone. Big overdunk potential, but here comes Nayat looking for the punish into the eject button. Clem will be fine.
Getting out of there pretty easily. And stay back and look to see what else they can farm up. And same with the Mimikyu, just kind of hanging around, waiting for a lot of these respawns. And look at the experience in the meantime and see where that's kind of been delve down to a level 11 Mega Charizard Y is going to be really nice for Nasty Family, but they got to start getting other teammates there as well, because you're going to be an easy target. Like right now, when you're not Mega, you're very easy for them to get down quickly, even with the Trick Room pop. They avoided that Aura Sphere, but it is going to be the dunk and the full top pad taken out by REC.
Big resource investment for REC, but I tell you what, the dividends are there for everyone to see. T1 Crack and the Reggie Alecki in pocket. That's actually, my apologies, it's not Reggie Alecki, is it? It's the oh, it is Reggie Alecki, never mind. Anyway, that's going to be on his way to T2. Meanwhile, REC, because they've gotten ahead of the game, they've managed to get an early rotate down onto bottom path. Knock Knock comes in to try and do damage. Nasty Family look to invade the space.
As Reg Steel is going to be started, trying to get that down quickly, and with 3 still there, make it 4, because now the Lucario has shown up and he's ready for that one. That's going to be secured.
Oh, they didn't get it.
REC. It is Lucario who gets it, and as that Mega Charizard Y flies away, they didn't get anything except losing their own teammate and the Reggie.
Really interesting call on top path. They've decided to let that Reggie Alecki walk into zone. It means that they've been able to score 40. Rubble Rouser unlocked. There's the bird going down, the Desi down. X-Scissor, Mega Charizard White.
No!
Oh my word! Water Pulse into Hyper Voice, and we've got the second Water Pulse of Sean Mi. 3 KO streak for the support Suicune. Outstanding.
Absolutely decimates them. It's that zone control we talked about. When you get locked down by that Suicune, you saw how much damage they were dishing out with the help of that Hyper Voice Sylveon. Absolutely immaculate by REC. Nice steal there from the Spirit Shackle, but God, rework looking really good in this game.
I tell you what, Nasty Family are going to be real happy that Nayat scored that 40. Because otherwise, this would be looking very, very ugly heading into the final stretch. There is still a final Reggie Alecki on the table, but because both T1s are up magical for REC, it means that Nasty Family are kind of stumped as to whether they go for it. In fact, they might look to take the fight central instead. Oh, nice X-Scissors! Oh, my word!
And that damage, there you go. The bait set up perfectly for them to get 2 knocked out. The rest of REC on the run, trying to get out of there because they don't have any control. And with 20 seconds left, there's plenty of time for them to dunk in these points before setting up for Kyogre.
Wow, and just like that, the lead slashed to what's it, 34 points. That's huge. Interestingly, REC have been able to corral themselves into taking that Reggie Alecki, but look at the aggressive posture from Nasty Family, looking to spring the trap here, Magical.
Looking for the Sylveon. That's the big target. Seismic.
Oh!
Break in the back, but still alive. They didn't get the knockout. Instead, they're looking to take down the Suicune. No more zone control. And Mega Charizard Y. It flies overhead.
Oh my word. Huge X-Scissor.
And it's going to be Nasty Family dominating the fight. Wiping the floor of REC. Kyogre is there. And Nasty Family looking to take the first series over Rework Esports Core.
Moa comes alive when his team needs him most. Huge X's at 30 seconds ago to open up a scoring opportunity bottom path. And then again, really well-timed Rubble Rouser. A fantastic X-Scissor catches too. And Rework Esport Core had already lost 1 or 2 of their own. Massive punish for Nasty Family. They grabbed that central area objective. But again, Magical, with a minute left to go, their lead is slender enough for REC to try and, again, G themselves up to go for an assault, but Nayat is here, waiting for the call. A Hundo Burger ready to score if REC go full send.
I see that Crustle as well in the central path, looking for something spicy, noticing all 5. Starting to book it down to the pot path.
There's
Is there
Hundo.
enough time? Another Hundo Burger has been dumped.
And there's another one.
Not yet. And they're going to go back. Yep. Ramoa gets one as well. And with the defense, They've got 27 seconds. Seismic Slam.
Oh, they got him again.
Again. And look at the damage burninating the countryside as they've got rid of everybody. Yet again, it is domination from the Nasty family. Nasty gameplay here in the final minutes to take a 2-0 victory.
You know their family because those fights were fast and they were furious, and most importantly for Nasty Family Magical, they were successful. The league leaders have been beleaguered. They've been 2-0 swept.
2-0 swept by Nasty Family, a team that has been on the rise, looking to move up in the standings and get themselves out of the bottom. They are now 2-2, and they're going to be so happy for it.
Seismic game in the EUL. This was the halfway point. This was the critical juncture. And we have just seen the league leaders taken down a peg. We will have to, of course, wait for official admin confirmation on how that affects Vaporeon haters. Of course, Vaporeon haters versus Power Rangers. That was put on hold and ultimately cancelled because of players not being able to turn up. So we'll see whether Vaporeon haters have gone on to 4-0 or whether they too have been pegged back to 3-1. But one thing is for sure, Omon, Boozaloof, and Dift are feeling delighted. They now match Rework Esport Core, at least in terms of series scoreline, and Nasty Family go 2-2. That is a big advantage over even Electro Drifters in 6th, landing on the 1 and 3 after round 4 of matches.
And for Nasty Family now, this is going to be a team that everyone fears seeing in their matchup. It's no longer one of those like ones where you go, oh, this should be easier. No, this is a team that has come out to play, and they're starting to turn up the heat here halfway through the season.
Ramoa was outstanding in that final 3 minutes. Oh my word. And you know, going Shell Smash as well, usually we see the Rock Tomb employed as a good catch tool, and you understand why. I mean, it's been one of old reliable in terms of movesets since season 1 of UCX. This time around, going with the Shell Smash, it offers him a great opportunity. We saw it there at the end to basically act as ward and not even require an X speed to get out of danger. They simply move faster. They escape the clutches of Rework Esports Core, who are already frustrated. They have to go for the full send. Meanwhile, Ramoa and Nayat both with Hundo Burgers to give themselves insurance to make sure that even though there was a full frontal assault on that T2, even if it had gone awry, they still had a very healthy lead to work with. Just a fantastic set of games from Nasty Family to really announce themselves this season.
And this second game, too, I thought it was going to be a game 3. Rework Esports Core, they had the lead most of the game. They were the team in control, but these great setups by Nasty Family. This was the second one. The first one started off the chain of dominoes that allowed them to pick up that second set and find themselves this beautiful fight right outside of Kyogre, where everything was lined up perfectly. They traded the Decidueye, but at that point, who cares? You got an ace out of that one, cleanly done in that fight.
I think really inspired choice from Ghatlue Gunner as well to go with the sweet scent. I mean, we were talking about CC and how Nasty Family were able to remove the threat of CC from REC in game number 1. This time, they brought the crowd control and hindrances themselves. They got those debuffs down. They brought the Trick Room, of course, the Fire Blast and the Empowered Fire Blast from the Mega Charizard Y. It all just came together to make a beautiful symphony to the tune of 2-0 sweeping who were the league leaders. What a fantastic end of the season then we have in store. 3 more rounds of matches magical. It's going to be fascinating to see who finally ends up in those top 6 places for playoffs.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how that's going to form it later on and see how the teams are going to continue to improve, because that's the whole point with a lot of these leagues is you want to see how teams improve, what they build upon, what they learn from wins and losses, and make themselves better as the season goes on. And you can tell that Nasty Family truly have been working on improvements.
we've got a something of the day lined up. We're going to find out now. It's, right, so we're just going to have a little look back at what we... okay, right, so Dift started off our day 2-0. Then we had Electro Drifters picking up a game against Oman Buzaluf, our reigning champions, but Oman Buzaluf coming through with that 2-1 victory. Our final series of the day on stream was, of course, Nasty Family with a 2-0 upset against REC. Vaporeon Haters, then, are confirmed automatic victors after Power Rangers were forced to FF, which means that Vaporeon Haters Magical at the end of round 4 remain flawless.
They are now our number 1 team. They are the top team of the EUL, and they've got a lot of people now staring at them with hungry eyes, wanting to topple them, similar to how Nasty Family had toppled Rework Esports Core.
For TTAR and Power Rangers, it is, well, inspired by TTAR, I guess, himself. It is now crunch time. You need to win next week, otherwise you are potentially in deep trouble. Electro Drifters, it looked like they can do something. TTAR, to be fair to them, it looked like they could do something. But now you're going up against basically every team who is above you is in the groove and feeling confident. I will correct myself momentarily. Vaporeon Haters, not flawless, of course. They have lost games this league, but they do have the flawless series record of 4-0. You would imagine, Magical, one more victory next round, and they are surely safe to the playoffs.
I would imagine so as well. As long as we get to take a look at the next schedule, that we get to see what teams are playing, we can kind of give our thoughts on who we think is going to be able to take that game. And it is going to be a tough one. It is not going to be a guaranteed one, but we have seen that Rework Esports Core can bleed. We know that they are now fallible. So Vaporeon Haters, maybe they can add upon that, or Rework Esports Core can bounce back in that one and say, you know what? No, it was a fluke, and we are still the number 1 team.
TTAR to face the reigning champions. I mean, talk about a high stakes game and high stakes series. My goodness, it's not going to be higher stakes than that. Electro Drift is a great opportunity to cement their place in the top 6 against Power Rangers, and Nasty Family and Dift, who now sit 1 game win apart from each other. Nasty Family on 2-2, Dift in 3-1. Is Nasty Family going to be able to relieve a little more pressure off of their shoulders? Or is Dift going to stride forward as they did this week? So many questions, Magical. So many questions. And there will be plenty of answers, I am sure. But all of you are going to have to just find out. The best way to do that is to tune in to TTV/Ghatlue. Follow, make sure that you get all of the notifications, hit the bell or whatever. And then you'll know for sure when we're going live next. I believe it's next week, Shivam. Can I get a confirmation on that next week for round 5? Tomorrow for round 5. So, it's mid-seasonal tomorrow. So, you still want to tune in tomorrow. It's mid-seasonal. But then round 5 is later on down the road. In any case, this is one of the places to get competitive Pokemon Unite. And I'd imagine with recent news, it is going to be one of the only places to get Pokemon Unite. Looking forward to 2027. This might be my final cast. I don't really want to make it about me, but I want to say to everyone, enjoy this game. Enjoy this game. Enjoy this community. I think, Magical, we speak from experience. We have already seen a game that we have loved and adored, and a community that we have loved and adored kind of splinter after things didn't go well there. Everyone here is united by Pokemon, whether that is Unite or whether that is the wider franchise. Stay friends, right? I mean, I feel like that's the message that we should be sending out to everyone. There is still hope and there is still friendship to enjoy beyond this game that we all love ourselves.
Well, Relic, we love you.
Oh, stop it. No.
Yes, we will. It is sad, though. There's a lot of news going around, and it's definitely sad times. But, for everyone out there who is maybe sad about hearing that news from Relic, don't worry. I don't think he's done with casting, so you can always check out other games that he's going to be doing. So there will be plenty more there. But yes, I agree. Unfortunately, when bad news hits us and games fall apart and communities fall apart, you have to find ways to stick together to still be able to do things and hang out and find other ways of staying together as a community. So
Correct.
shout out to everyone and shout out to you, Relic.
Hey, shout out to everyone here who works. Listen, okay, because people are like, oh, love you, Relic. I realized I was kind of like the EU rep. There are so many fantastic casters, not just EU based, but all over the world, who didn't get a chance to work on UCS. So from the bottom of my heart, whether you enjoyed or even disliked my work, if you were looking to criticize what I was doing, yo, thank you for tuning in, the feedback, the support, whatever you were offering. I take all of that to be a better caster and a better person. Y'all rock. The Pokemon Unite community is so cool. Creating Battle Hub and, you know, making all of these tournaments, genuinely a dream. And I do emphasize, I think this is my last one. Maybe there will be a late call. Maybe there will be a miracle. Who knows? But as
Hopefully.
of now, I just wanted to make sure that the message is out there. Stick together. This game is not the end. And in fact, this game is an ending. As far as we know, the game is still going to be going into 2027, so enjoy it while you still can. And please enjoy the rest of EUL while you still can. And a shout out to Shivan, by the way, and all of the staff here, and indeed across all of Grassroots. Keeping the scene going, Magical, is what you love to see.
It is. It really is. And I really can't add much. You've said some amazing things on that one where it's like, yeah, I agree. And I hope that, you know, I wish things were different, but enjoy the game. Enjoy the games that you're playing. Keep doing it. Keep playing with your friends, joining the Discords, all that stuff, and just keep being awesome.
Yeah, right. Everyone, enjoy your night. Remember, back here roughly the same time, I believe, for the mid-seasonals of 5 p.m. CET tomorrow. You want to be here for the mid-seasonals of EUL 2026. It's going to be a really exciting time. Some fantastic players, some fantastic games guaranteed. Remember to follow TTV/Ghatlue and make sure you hit that notification bell so you get the email through and then you make sure, hey, I'm not going to miss this, because I'm not going to miss this either. It's going to be a really exciting day of action. Magical, it's been a pleasure as always. And is it time to end the show? Well, I think I will take that as a yes. Take care, everyone. Have a good one.